We are still virtual. I'm hoping that in the very near future, we will be able to go live, and I'm almost positive that the next State of the City will in fact be live. We've had one live State of the City, and that's when our grand opening occurred for our newly remodeled City Hall, and that seemed like eons ago. But here we are, and everybody is healthy, and I think we've gotten through this pandemic. We are still guarded, we're still cautious, but I'm looking forward to next year when we will more than likely, and I'm going to go out on a limb, more than likely, we will be live. So thank you all for joining us tonight. This is absolutely wonderful, and I appreciate you being here. As we always do, and I think it's important that we recognize elected officials that have joined us tonight. They are part of this support system, and we appreciate everything that that end of the team does for us. We have elected officials who just raise your hand. I don't want to miss anybody because I can't even see everybody on the screen right now. But if you're an elected official, I thank you for being here tonight. Raise your hand and wave to us so that we know that you're here. So thank you guys for joining us. Truly appreciate it. We also have many, many partners in doing the business that we have to do for King City residents. And I know that there are probably some of our here too. And I'd say Northwest Natural, Portland General Electric, Comcast. If any of you who represent those companies are here, please wave and let everybody know that you're here, because I know you're out there, but I may not be able to see you on my screen at this point. So absolutely wonderful, and I appreciate you being here. And last but not least, I know that I have at least one family member on, and that is my wife, Ramona. Ramona, are you there? Ramona? I saw her somewhere. So, but listen.
She might be muted.
I gave her all the instructions, so I know that she's downstairs doing something. But nevertheless, Ramona, my darling wife, none of what I do would be possible without the support that she gives me on a day-to-day basis. And and she's truly the smartest person I know. So a lot of the good ideas, you guys may not see many of them, but most of the good ideas come from Ramona. So I just want you to know that, okay? So with that being said, and I thought I was going to have a family member from the East Coast who signed up to be on the call. So my sister-in-law and brother-in-law from Delaware, from Wilmington, Delaware, if you are on, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you being here. So 1 minute, please.
Okay. I guess I gotta go upstairs.
Okay, I found Ramona. There she is, standing right behind me.
I'm technologically challenged, and something happened. I was all set up. Hi, everybody. Hey, John Cook, city manager. Hey, Smart.
Okay.
It's good to see you all.
All right.
Okay, I'm challenged and I'm leaving.
All right, thank you, Lodge.
I'll try to listen somehow.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Thank you, Ramona. Next, I just want to give an overview of what the program is going to be tonight. We have elected to be a team of speakers tonight. All of the city councilors will speak, and the leadership from our staff will also speak. That includes Ernie Hapla and Mike Weston, who will have something to talk to you all about. We wanted this to be just a really good conversation from all of us. You know, it's not really a big presentation. It is not a big production, but I think it's important for all of you to know that everything we do as a team. And I'm honored to have the team that we have for King City. The residents of King City are blessed to have the folks that are working together to try to make King City the best it can be. And I think you will understand some of the passion that our team members have as they speak. So first, we'd like to introduce Kate Moore. Kate Moore is a city councilor for King City, and she's going to be the first speaker. So Kate, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Gibson. Can everybody hear me okay? All right, I had some microphone troubles earlier, so I just wanted to double check on that. My name is Kate Moore, and I am the newest city councilor for King City. And before I start talking briefly about business in King City, I wanted to thank everyone who came to our event in the park that we recently had. It was the first one I was able to attend as an elected official, and it was really nice to be able to communicate with people face to face and meet some of the people that I've talked to over Zoom a number of times. So thank you to everyone who came out. I listened a lot, I talked a little, which for those of you who know me might be surprised by that. John is laughing, but I really appreciated that event. So Mayor Gibson asked me to talk a little bit about business in King City tonight. And I'm so happy to do that. I'm pretty passionate about business in the area. I've lived in King City for just about 11 years. I have 3 girls here. One is going into 8th grade, which is blowing my mind. One into 5th grade, and then I have an almost 4-year-old. So we, my kids have attended Deer Creek, and we will be a Deer Creek family for quite a few years to come. So we're pretty invested in what's going on locally here. I'm also a teacher. Right now I'm teaching 4th grade. I formerly taught middle school special education at Tuolumne Middle School. And I'm also a business owner. So my husband and I opened a business in 2009, and we've been running that in Tigard since then. I've been in and out of it a bit, but I did spend a good chunk of years getting everything started and set up and learning a lot. And all of those experiences have really led me to be passionate about small businesses. I didn't know before I had one how hard it was to be a business owner. I didn't have any idea. In fact, I thought it seemed kind of easy when I was first starting and didn't know as much as I know now. And over the past year and a half, I have thought a lot about our local businesses and kind of watched some grow, watched some fade away, and learned about new businesses in our city that I didn't know we had. And we all know that this past year and a half has been incredibly challenging. I was really happy to see King City step up last spring and reach out to our local businesses and make sure that our businesses had the support that they needed moving through COVID, that they knew how to access PPE and funding as we navigated through the pandemic. We did see some businesses go, and we saw some businesses have to close and then reopen. We also saw a lot of businesses that stayed open, were essentially open the entire time. A couple of our restaurants and our gas stations, some people who work in King City as personal assistants, our assisted living facilities had to work so hard to keep everybody safe and healthy in a time of uncertainty. So there has been a lot of really wonderful collaboration in our community with businesses. I also wanted to give a shout out to the King City Community Foundation. They started a business roundtable every month to get business owners to get in the area together to talk about business in King City. And that, I think, has been a really good start at building a bigger business community as we expand towards Roy Rogers Road. And we are really looking forward to the future and what the next 5, 10, 20 years will hold as far as businesses that we can bring into our city. I would encourage any of you who have questions, need help, need connection, need resources to please reach out to someone at the city. You're welcome to email me. I would love to help businesses in our area connect with each other. And I'm really looking forward to continuing to work for all of you in the next few years. now I'm going to pass it on to Counselor Thompson, and she's going to talk a little bit more about some of that growth that I mentioned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kate. Hi, everyone. I'm Shauna Thompson. Can you hear me okay? I'm unmuted. Good. I've been serving as a King City Councilor since May of 2020. And prior to that, I was on the King City Planning Commission. I live in the beautiful Edgewater community with my husband, Ryan, and our daughters, Taylor and Tashi, and our beloved cat, Mr. Jingles, and the newest member of our family, our sweet little puppy, Mr. Burns. So you might see us walking the little puppy around if you ever are at the King City Park or live in the Edgewater community. He's a cutie. Anyway, I became interested in becoming a city councilor when I learned about the plans for the future expansion of the city. My background as a residential real estate agent makes me somewhat of an expert in knowing what makes a community really special. So tonight I'd like to share my vision of what the future town center area of the expanded area of King City might look like in my vision. So my vision begins with a bike path / walking trail that leads from the existing King City Park to the town center. And I'd love to see nature trails and nature parks branching off along the way. And upon arriving at the town center, I envision a large open area with a duck pond, fountains, a splash pad, restaurants and coffee shops and personal service businesses would surround the common area. And then we could have residential living spaces above the commercial spaces. I would love to see a Trader Joe's as an anchor store in the town center, as well as a King City Library. And I think people would really enjoy some live music in that space, not in the King City Library necessarily, but in the town center area, like in the common area, maybe on weekends or evenings, especially in the summer. And a Saturday market would be awesome in the summer months as well. So my vision, I see the town center as a gathering place. I see it as a place to meet up with friends, old and new, a place where families feel safe, and a place that just feels like home. And now Councillor Acholi will share with you his perspective regarding the importance of homeowners associations. Councillor Acholi.
Oh, thank you, Shauna. Can you all hear me okay? All right. Good evening, everyone. Again, thank you for the opportunity to join us here as we conduct this event. And really appreciate you taking the time to kind of share with us. This, like the mayor said, this is the second time that we're doing this, and now we're doing it virtually. Hopefully the next one will be when we get together in person again, okay? Again, a little bit about myself. I am right now a federal employee. I work as a civilian, as a supervisory electrical engineer with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And I'm married to my wife, Mary, and we have 2 kids, Zion and Kezia. And they all have great kids and awesome kids, looking forward to the opportunity to go out once the pandemic is all over to have fun again. So like all the kids have been in the homes all this while. We're all looking forward to when all of this is all over and behind us again. Again, we moved to King City in 2009. Going on almost 12 years now. And I joined the City Planning Commission with the opportunity to participate in how we do things in the city and how we kind of approve the things and projects that are going on in the city. And with that, I kind of moved from there and joined the City Council with the opportunities to continue serving the community again. And so joining the Planning Commission was a great opportunity for me to see how we can make this place, continue beautifying it. You know, when we were searching for a place to live, my wife and I, back in 2009, we went to a number of neighborhoods. We traveled. I mean, it was like a second job. We closed from our regular job and then we just started driving around and looking. So we found King City and we're like, wow, this is a beautiful place, you know? And again, how else do you keep the place as beautiful as it is? I mean, the homeowners associations that we have them for a reason. They help us to keep this place as beautiful and as clean as it is right now. And they've done a great job, all the homeowners association. And being in the city council, I see it as a great opportunity for us to also be able to work with the homeowners association. And so the city council saw it as a very, very important opportunity for us to interact with the community. And so we have representations in the homeowners associations, and we bring messages from the city council in our meetings. We take these messages to the people and meet with them, interact with them, and then we hear from them and bring that back to our meetings that we share to actually let people know that we're trying to close that gap of communication. Any opportunity we get to create any means of communicating with the people, we do that through the homeowners association, and we'll continue to take advantage of that. And so we encourage you all, if you're not able to make it to the city council meetings, or find ways to meet with your elected officials. Homeowners Association is somewhere that we're always available. We have representation in all those environments. And if you find the opportunity to meet one of us, or I know I live in the Edgewater community, so I go to the one over here, and I represent the council, and I've been in meetings with some people, and they've had the opportunity to interact, and I really appreciate the opportunity to get to that grassroots level and share our visions and our goals with the people and bring back what their expectations are. So again, we value our homeowners association and really appreciate what they are doing, and we'll continue to look forward to working with them. Thank you. And with that, I'll pass it on to Councillor Micah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Micah Paulson. I've been a city councilor here since 2019 after being elected in 2018. I've lived in the Edgewater community since 2016, just over 5 years now. And in that time, my wife Annie and I have welcomed 2 young sons. We have Harry and William, who love our community, and we're so happy to be here. And they are one of the reasons why I love the topic that I get to speak about this evening, which is the park and the park improvements that have been made. We spend an awful lot of time at the playground or walking around the park with our dogs, and just really love the opportunity to take advantage of this great space that we have. I do have a couple of slides. I'm going to see if they work. If they do not, then I will just speak to this, but I'm going to go ahead and try and share this content. Just one moment. Oops. Oh, actually, it looks like that's not going to work. So I will just speak to this. Basically, over the last few years, there have been a number of improvements made to our park. In 2019, we took out the entire playing field, playing surface, put in drainage, and resurfaced the field. If you've noticed and have been in the King City area for a while, our park used to have a field that was a mud pit for the most part of the year. We now have a field that can be played 12 months a year. We have soccer goals and a baseball, softball field now that has been installed as well, along with a bunch of extra trees that have been planted in the park to provide extra shade. In 2020 and 2021, the baseball and softball backstop was put in, providing a little bit of safety for those walking on the paths, also to help kind of delineate where the field is, and to keep some of those stray baseballs and softballs from ending up in the wetlands. After that, you might have noticed if you've been at the park recently, we just installed 2 small pony walls at the park circle. Those are a great place for people to meet and to gather. Also a place for people to be able to sit and rest. But they will also be the canvas for a brand new mosaic that our community is putting together, which will be a neat project for the community, made by the community. So really excited about that in the coming months. Some additional park improvements that have occurred recently, and you may have seen, is there is where our pathway crosses the creek going from the playground and into the park itself. We've put up fencing so that now people cannot climb down into the creek area, and also it's helping to preserve the wildlife. I apologize, we have a crying baby in the background. But I also want to look to the future of improvements that we're going to do. Some of the things we're looking at, resurfacing the walking path that surrounds the playfield. If you've noticed, especially on the eastern side of that park, there's quite a lot of breaking of the pavement, roots that have come through, and so we're looking to improve that and resurface those. Also looking at additional benches, places for people to sit and be able to just rest and enjoy the park. Also, one of my favorite parts of the park is the trail system that goes through the woods behind the park and by the river. So in the future, we'll be looking to make trail improvements, places where we can improve some bridges across the creek, and also creating part of a larger interconnected system of trails for the city. And all of that will tie into the future development with the city as well. This place has been a real passion for me. I love the park. We're probably there 3 to 4 nights a week, if not more. And I was down there this last weekend to take some of the pictures for this the slideshow, and just realized there was a large kickball game going on. There was a large soccer game going on. And this is exactly why we made the improvements. It's to get people out to enjoy where we live and to enjoy it together and to really enjoy the sense of community that it brings. So I'm very happy to have seen the improvements that we've done. I'm very excited about the improvements that we will make. And thank you for letting me speak about it. And up next is Councillor Platt.
Okay, I think I got unmuted. Thank you, Councillor Paulson. And if any of you have not been down to the park, you really owe it to yourself to go down there. I think I'm the youngest person on the council. I'm about 26, I believe. And I have 4 children and 9 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. So maybe I didn't do the math right. But it has been my honor to serve on the King City Council since 2019. And prior to being on the council, I served for 4 years as president of the King City Highlands Homeowners Association. And during that time, we had a great deal of interface with the mayor and the city manager, and got a lot of help from them, and we annexed the King City Highlands to King City. So it enables us to share in the benefits of the city. And in spite of all the numerous complications that resulted from COVID-19, all the members of our city management, city council, and planning commission are deeply committed to the thoughtful design of the urban growth master plan that will shape development throughout King City for the next 20 years. As a result of the pandemic, virtual committee meetings have been conducted by means of Zoom conferencing, and we encourage your individual participation in any of our city council, planning commission, stakeholder, and technical advisory committee meetings. And I am truly looking forward to the time when the city council will meet again in person in our beautiful city hall. And we would love to have you join us. And it's now my pleasure to introduce you to Ken. I don't know if it's going to be to you. I don't see President Jamie Fender.
I'm here, Dave.
She's here?
I'm here.
Okay, well then I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you.
And I'll give you the rest of my time.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate it. You know I'm long-winded. So good morning or good afternoon, everyone. And I'm so happy that you're here with us tonight and talking about our lovely city. I apologize, I was a little bit late. I just got back from a glorious vaccinated vacation in Palm Springs. So I'm still a little discombobulated, but I have the pleasure of just talking a little bit about what the hopeful future that we are looking forward to in our community. And I think the special place in my heart in this community is really focusing on how to bring cohesion and a sense of community between our diverse populations, right? We have such an amazing city of mature adults and young families with really young children. And sometimes those two communities are hard to kind of converge and kind of get together. And of course, COVID has just been horrific for us to keep fostering and creating that sense of community. So as we build and as we come out of this isolating COVID period, we have a lot of really fun things to look forward to. I do apologize. I'm sure someone previously discussed the art installation that's coming to King City. Okay, I'm seeing a few nods no. Okay, so King City is about to get its first public art. This is very, very exciting. We were awarded a Washington County grant, and a local artist named Mark Brody is going to create mosaics around 2 small pony walls that have been installed in the park. Most of you, I think, already follow our social media, my social media. I have posted a lot of fun little updates on there, so get in touch if you want to see more. I did a little video about it. But these cement little pony walls will be wrapped in mosaic tiling. And tomorrow, June 18th and June 22nd, we are going to have community members come safely, participate in creating little sections of the mosaic with the artist and another art teacher. And so there'll be some fun photographs that we will also share on social media. The installation itself won't be unveiled until probably September. So we will circle back around with everyone and make sure that you are all invited to the grand opening of that event. Some other kind of projects that are kind of stirring and in the works is we have a very active Girl Scout troop here in King City, and they actually just recently reached out to do some kind of projects. So I know I have it on good authority that likely next month they're going to come to the city and present an idea to create some peace poles within the city. And there's a couple ideas to kind of place, if it's granted by the council, of course, but if it was approved, to place maybe one in traditional King City, as we call it, and then maybe in new King City down here by the park. We are also looking forward to creating a Spruce Up the City event where we will be partnering with the Girl Scouts, major stakeholders within the community, and we are going to have a trail and kind of city litter pickup event that will be the first weekend. Throughout the week, we hope to partner with the Girl Scouts to have them inspire all of us to do something for the community each day. And I'm hoping they're going to create some artwork and some suggestions. And then on the end, the next weekend, we'll have a shred, recycling, donation event. And we're really trying to focus on things that obviously can't be placed curbside for recycling. Maybe do an electronics kind of repair, recycle, repair, reuse kind of event. So that's still coming together. But now that we are opening up, we're hoping to kind of shift the focus to doing a couple events like that. Sadly, I know all of you are aware by now that our glorious 4th of July festival, which we're starting to get a little notoriety about, is again going to be canceled. So we're encouraging all of the homeowners associations and neighborhoods to maybe focus on still smaller but socially responsible types of events, and then looking forward to more events in kind of the fall, reading in the park, maybe art in the park. We received so many so much interest in doing this art project that I think doing some fun art in the park that's just open to anyone is going to be a really fun experience. So watch this space. It's, you know, we still are proceeding cautiously and responsibly, but we are looking to start to come together to continue to do the good work and build that community that we all love. So I thank you all for your time. Oh, and I apologize. I'm supposed to introduce Mike. I just get long-winded. I start talking and then I'm done. So Mike Weston is going to be next. Mike has been with us in the city for 5, going on 6 years now. He works incredibly hard on behalf of all of us and has too much on his plate. And we would be lost without him. So Mike, take it away.
See a couple hands up there. Do we want to take these hands before we move on, or
That's applause.
After you, Mike.
Oh,
Are
okay,
there
I
applauses?
got
Yes.
you.
If there's any questions, then I'm happy to answer. But
After you, Mike, we're going to take questions.
oh,
All
okay.
right. It's
Let's not
hard
forget
to
Ernie.
believe that, you know, after a couple years of Zoom meetings that we can still be novices here, but
Yeah, but let's not forget Ernie, because Ernie has a piece of this too.
yeah, we do have Ernie in here first. So Ernie, you want to take it first and then I'll follow you? Now I just put him on the spot.
Sure. Be more than happy to. Ernie Hopple, Chief of Police in King City. My 14th year in King City, 3rd is the chief. First, before I don't even want to talk about the COVID year, but we will. I'd just really like to thank the city council, the staff with the city, from my side to Mike's side, who have worked wonderfully together all year, and we've performed as a team and picked up a lot of slack. So a big thank you to all the staff and the city council. I'd also like to thank the citizens of King City, because they've embraced a horrible year, and quite simply, it was probably the worst year as far as being a worrier in my career, worrying about staff and making sure that they had what they needed to perform their work. And so with that, you know, one of the things that we saw during the last year was the, you know, reduced in-person responses where there wasn't a life-threatening, you know, emergency. There was a lot of contact that was made by phone. And so it kind of took something we weren't used to. It took an impersonal role. And it's something we kind of always prided ourselves on, no call too small, and we'd show up and chat. And if you've ever talked with me, you know that you might not get away for a little while, because I love to talk. But so one of the things that, you know, we did that was just to reduce our exposure. We're a very small department, very few people. And, you know, it just takes one person getting ill to basically just taint the whole office. So that was just done in response to COVID. And so where do we go from here? As things, city, county, and state start to open up, you'll see more of us. You know, it's more of a proactive role. You'll start to see us a lot more out there. You see myself and Brian, we're out working. We're working about 70 hours a week on the road right now. So you'll see a lot more of us out there. So that's a good thing. For as far as this new year coming up, one of the big things we've seen, we all hear about it, and we've talked about it, is police reform legislation that's come through. And so there's going to be, you know, a little time frame here. I think there's around a baker's dozen as far as legislation that was passed and has been signed. And so we'll be waiting for some more information on direction. I saw some of our partners are here. I think John Cook and Al Roque were here. You know, to where we get together with everybody and work on best practices, and to where we all basically train the same and have the same policies, to where it's just a cohesive group here in Washington County. So that's going to be something that's coming down. It's going to take a little bit of time, but you know, there's a few changes that will affect us for the most part. You know, not all, or things that were already in practice. And a couple of the big changes just in King City, we've got some personnel that you'll see some new bodies come in. My new person that will be coming on, he's not aware of it, but he passed his final hurdle today. So we'll be welcoming him in a couple of weeks. And possibly another one here soon too. So that's going to be a fun time. And the next big thing for us is body cameras. It's going to be one of the last agencies in Washington County that's starting to get body cameras, and those are going to be rolling in the next couple of weeks. And so, along with all the other partner agencies, with Tiger just started theirs, Tualatin's has theirs, and Sherwood the same. So all the South City units, along with the sheriff's office, we're all learning all this stuff together. So there's a little training curve and some exciting times ahead, and it's stuff that we're looking forward to. And with that, I will let it go back to you, Mike.
I think Ernie touches on some great points. You know, it's been a struggle the last couple of years with all the COVID stuff, and you know, the strain on the staff members throughout that process. It's not the easiest. Also, losing that in-person feedback, I think, is energizing. And when you have to do it through Zoom, it feels a little bit more draining. And then going from, I think there's a bit of a whiplash effect from where we were at to now we have lines of people out the door and around the corner every day waiting for passports. And it's like a shock to the system, right? And we still have a couple of people that we have at least one person that can't get vaccinated right now because, you know, she's pregnant and they're not cleared yet for the vaccination. So there's deep concern with her interacting with the public, especially folks that aren't vaccinated. So there's a personal risk and a personal cost, I think, associated with this pandemic that we've all felt throughout this process. And I definitely applaud my staff for their hard work and efforts over the last couple of years and, you know, trudging through this and basically being survivors. You know, we don't really get days off. We may close the counter to personal interaction, but we're still here working. And so it's kind of, as a small staff, everybody has to be here and everybody has to do what we have to do. We try to limit our numbers. We try to mix schedules around, but everybody eventually has to come in to access the server to get the work that they have to do, then take that work. And what ended up happening was everyone's working really late nights or really early mornings, and then mixing in the school schedule with the kids at home. And it's just been chaos for a lot of the folks here and a lot of the folks out there. So we feel for you, all those working moms and dads that had to work from home and take care of their kids and teach their kids in school and everything. And we are definitely very excited to get back to some semblance of normalcy here in the very near future. We are looking forward to that in person. I think we've scheduled our first in-person back to normal council meeting for August 18th, which is great. So that's a sign most things are coming back to normal. Most of us have been vaccinated. I hear Washington County is getting pretty darn close to that magic number. Oregon's getting pretty close to that magic number to opening back up. So we're all really excited to see, and fingers crossed we get rid of those masks once and for all and get back to these in-person meetings. I just want to say thank you to everyone on this call. I see so many representatives out there and commissioners. I see, you know, Chair Harrington and Commissioner Rogers, former Mayor Cook. I see Mayor Frank. There's so many people out there. Chair Rep Neron is here. Kim from TVF&R. We have Crystal. I see you, Crystal. We have Joe, who's now transferred from Sherwood over to Clean Water Services. Billy, our former planning commissioner, is here. So many people. John Cook, I see you over there too. Both John Cooks. You know, there's so many great folks out there, and I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Scott, I see you from Pamphlet too, so pleasure seeing you here. But thank you, everyone. It's so great to see you all, and thank you for being here. My job today is to kind of talk about where we're going. So I get the task that I often get, which is to talk about the urban growth boundary area and some of those challenges. So right now we are I'd say neck deep, if not over, drowning in the amount of information flying in from the TSP crew that's trying to just throw everything from the TSP. You know, we had visions of what a TSP would provide for us, and we're getting toward the end of the TSP piece, and we're finding, well, we still need a little bit more, right? Well, we still have the master plan process going, and we're about halfway through the master plan process with a lot of good detail that's going to happen over the next, 6 to 8 months. And we're really looking forward to refining some of those objects or projects that are coming out of the transportation system plan, and really refining some of our systems. And so, Carl Springer's on here. He's going to be giving a presentation about the TSP. This is kind of like the final presentation from the TSP. We should have a document from DKS by the end of the month that we're going to basically kind of use and tool and refine as we work through the master planning process, to make sure that by the end of this thing, hopefully we have a workable plan that we can turn into actionable items that we can get adopted into our development codes. And then we can open this up for the growth and development that we know is coming and is in high demand at this moment. If everybody's seen the cost of houses around here these days, they're going through the roof, and there's a high demand and a very low amount of housing stock or availability. And I'm sure with us, King City, the Cooper Mountain development and planning that's going on in Beaverton, along with South Hillsborough and River Terrace East and River Terrace West and River Terrace 2.0 that are all coming online. These should hopefully provide a little bit of an outlet for that pressure that's coming into our community. But with growth, there are challenges, and a lot of those have emotional ties and a lot of strain that goes along with those things. So we recognize the pressure that puts on everyone that's already living in those areas, and the impacts that those create. So with that, our UGB, we're still looking, we're still on a time, we're still chopping away, we're still moving forward. And our hope is that we can get this thing across the finish line within the next year or so. We also have this great act that just went through. It's the American Rescue Plan Act, and it's providing our little city about $1 million. And that's our direct allotment. And for us, that is a huge number. That is a great number that we can do a lot of good things for, not only King City, but also our residents. And so we've talked about ways that we can use this money. I think there's an opportunity here to team up with Clean Water Services and possibly extend the purple line, the recycled water line, to our King City Park, to 131st Street and the Highlands, and get those things with actual recyclable water so that we can run our sprinklers without them clogging with Tualatin River water. So that's an opportunity to use these funds. We also have opportunities to really help the employees here in the business plaza or down at the senior village or Avamere or any of these places with that premium pay that's out there. So we've been talking about figuring out how to do a grant program that actually puts money into the employees' hands that had to work throughout this pandemic, and how we go about doing that. And also realizing that, how do we disperse those funds and how do we get them into the people that need them the most? I feel that this money was designed to put in the hands of those people, whereas the previous money that we had from the CARES Act was to put in the hands of the businesses. So we've already had 2 bailout or 2 grant projects for our businesses in King City, but this is an opportunity to actually put the money into the gas attendant's hand or the grocery person that had to work throughout the whole pandemic, and give them an opportunity to get some relief there that maybe they weren't eligible for earlier. So we're really excited about the ARPA funds. We've also been in conversations with Rep. Neron, who's on the phone, and her office through Senator Kim Thatcher's office and City of Sherwood about trying to create a broadband loop that would tie King City into Sherwood broadband and also allow us to access the bug and other elements through the broadband system. And there's more coming. So right now is in a very exciting time. The future is bright and there's a lot more to do. So with that, I'll segue it off and hand it back to you, Mayor Gibson. Sorry, I took way over my 3 minutes.
It didn't seem like it because you had so many good things to say. I know that there are probably a couple of questions. Let's do that at the very end. And I just want to talk about this team. What you have heard tonight are the team members and how they feel about what they're here to do. When we talk about the council, the city council, the residents of King City elected these officials to make good decisions for the residents of King City. I don't think that the residents of King City could have a better team representing them. One of the things that we have to understand about this team is that we all clearly understand as elected officials, we've been elected to make good decisions, but they may not necessarily be popular decisions. But I think we're up for that challenge. When I look at the passion of this team, especially when I look at the hardworking men and women of the city council who are volunteering their time, they have full-time jobs. And as you've already heard, they have young ones, you know, some of them young enough to cry and want attention, but they're dedicating their time to doing what is necessary to make King City the absolute best it can be. We all come from different backgrounds. We're all from different places. We're in different age groups. But the reality of it is that we all have one focus. And that one focus, and we're on the same page with it, is to do whatever we can to make King City the absolute best it can be. And as a community, I need for all of the residents to embrace that and understand that. You are us and we are you. We live in this community just the same way you do. And we're only doing this because we want King City to be the absolute best. So when we disagree, I understand disagreement, but we can't attack those very people who are here trying to do what is absolutely necessary to make this community thrive and grow and keep it safe and well maintained. That's our jobs. We take that job very seriously, and we need to make sure, I want to make sure that our community respects that. I can defend myself, but I think it's my responsibility as mayor of King City to also defend our council and our staff when I see that they're under attack for just simply trying to do the right thing to make this community a great community, when in reality it already is. But we can be better, and I know the residents are great. When I look at how the residents of King City performed through the pandemic, where there was a willingness to follow the rules and regulations and the protocols to keep this community safe, we all came together on this. We didn't have any incidents with our businesses being challenged because they were trying to do the right thing to keep the business going. And that's the respect that our community has had for our business owners and for the other members of this community. And I respect that and I appreciate that in this community. I think we have a wonderful group of people living here. They want to live here. And it's a matter of respecting the whole process. And I think we're heading in a direction that's going to be absolutely wonderful for the future. The growth opportunity is an exciting thing. Yes, we have some challenges. We have to have some real serious conversation of what to do on many different levels. But when I think about some of the things that Shauna talked about and what Kate talked about and what Micah talked about, is how the families can thrive at a park, how the families will potentially thrive at a new town center with all the amenities that a well-planned community will have. That's exciting to me, and I'm very, very excited about those possibilities. Now, when I look at our police department is, I think, one of the best you could ever have in a city. They are community police officers. They respect and protect this community. And every single person under the leadership of Ernie Hopla and Lieutenant Brian Sigler, they know how important it is to protect this community and to be respectful of this community and to do everything they can to make sure that our communities get the kind of interaction that they deserve from our police force. And I think it is special. And I want to commend Ernie and Brian for all that they do every day in some trying times. It wasn't easy through COVID, and it hasn't been easy with some staffing shortages, but they have found a way to make it work. And the officers who are out there on the street spending that time, John and Courtney, I just have the greatest respect for what they do. And it's a blessing for us to have them running our police department. Our city staff, led by Mike Weston, I'm talking about people who wear 5 and 6 different hats. It's a very small group and are just completely dedicated to doing what the residents of King City deserve. Everything from doing passports to building permits to making sure that we receive calls and get those conversations and concerns into the right hands. That's our staff doing that. And they've been challenged, there's no doubt about it. But nobody complains. Everybody comes in every day with one goal and one goal in mind, and that's to serve this city. And they need to be commended, and because they've done an outstanding job. Ronnie Smith, who I don't know what his job title is anymore because he wears so many hats, but and Mir and Sam and David Runyon, who is our Parks and Recreation Director. It's a committee of one. He does it all, but that's the way this city works, and that's the way this city thrives. And I don't want to overlook our planning commission, the kind of work that the planning commission is being challenged to do right now with the urban growth. And a lot of people understand how challenging that is for the planning commission. The planning commission is led by the chair is
Lori Petrie.
Lori Petrie, I know that, Lori Petrie. And the co-chair is Mark Miletus. And so that group of people have done an outstanding job of reviewing codes and doing the changes that need to be made, and also reviewing all of this information that's coming at them from the transportation system plan and the master planning process. So I commend them. So Lori, I appreciate you, and Mark, I appreciate you, and the team, and you other members who are here, you know who you are. I thank you and I appreciate you. So my final word to the community is that there's a lot of fear involved in change, and we all understand that. And change gets really skewed when we start dealing in misinformation. And I can't stress enough for the community to communicate in the process. And when I say that, be involved in the transportation system plan, be involved in the master planning, communicate with us so that we can try to answer as many questions as we possibly can. And I'm going to say it again. We're challenged and charged with making good decisions, and they may not necessarily be a favorable decision in a lot of ways. But the reality is that we are committed, and we're going to do our absolute best to give this city what it deserves. And that's our best in order to make sure that the future is bright and that King City is on the map now. It's big time, and I can't say it any other way. So I appreciate everybody who is here tonight. Mike has already said it. He talked about all of our partners and our elected officials, and all of you have joined in to support us tonight, and it's truly appreciated. Now, I want to open it up to a few questions. I know that there are a few questions, and Ronnie, maybe you can help us with that and see who might have a question or two. So thank you guys once again. I appreciate it.
So right now I have John Cook.
Ronnie, those were clapping hands, not a raised hand. So.
Okay. They look the same to me. All right, next up I have Michael Meyer.
Hi there, Mike Meyer. I come to you from outside the King City, out in the expansion area. And I just want to kind of expand on what the mayor is saying as far as volunteerism. Everybody's putting in a lot of work into making sure that King City is the best that it can be. And I just want you to know that there are a number of us out here to the west in the expansion area that want the exact same thing. We're volunteering a lot of time ourselves. I've taken part in this process since the early 1990s with the potential urban growth boundary expansion. And that's continued on through concept plan. I'm a member of the SAC. I tune into the TAC meetings, city council meetings, planning commission. I applied for the planning commission position that was open. I'm the co-chair of the CPO 4K. We've conducted one tour out here in the expansion area. We have a second tour planned for next Monday, and probably a cleanup tour for number 3 for the planning commissioners and city councilors that can't make the first one or second one. So I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. The tabling event, I thought, was a very good opportunity to talk to members of the council and planning commission. It was a great one-on-one opportunity. Talked with Jamie Fender at length, Kate Moore, Mark Manellis, and Joe Casanova. I wish I'd had an opportunity to talk to more, but hopefully we'll have that opportunity during tour number 2 and possibly tour number 3. And I hope that all planning commissioners and city councilors can attend those. So that was the great part of the tabling event. I was disappointed, however, that the map that was being displayed was not up to date. The TSP draft apparently was done, and I wasn't given a copy of that until the end of the meeting. So it wasn't reflective of the roadways that were planned in the draft. So that was disappointing that the people that attended didn't get to see that. The mailer that was sent out to all of King City residents, including the expansion area, said on the mailer, with the help of public feedback gathered last fall, we've drafted King City's first TSP, and now we want to know if we got it right. My opinion, my personal opinion from what I see, is I don't think you got it right. So I hope that there's still opportunity for discussion and modification because in my opinion, it is not a good plan. The second thing I want to talk about is the park. Michael Paulson had brought up some enhancements to the park, including baseball fields, drainage, trees, backstops, some efforts underway for paths and whatnot. But there's also a very large erosion site there that the mayor has said that is not a responsibility of King City. So if it isn't a responsibility of King City, then I think King City needs to work with Washington County, Clean Water Services, and whoever is responsible, and making sure that that erosion site is a priority, in addition to all the human activities. There also has to be some protection for the environment when it comes to that erosion site. We had a presentation on that at the last CPO meeting from Tualatin River Keepers and from Paul Whitney, a retired ecologist, and he presented some slides and photos of that erosion site, and has actually documented the continuing erosion that's going on there, and it's pretty substantial. And it's something that's out of sight, so it's out of mind, but it's back there in the weeds, and if people stumble across it, it's pretty eye-opening. The last thing I want to mention is that, tonight, this state of the city was very well advertised. I probably got 10 emails myself that this was coming about. 49 people tuned in. I think about half are connected to the government in some capacity. So I think the city of King City needs to really work on public engagement. I know that we get a lot of Edgewater community members here. We got Rivermead, myself, but I'd like to see more King City proper residents somehow getting involved in these meetings and other city council meetings, planning commission meetings and whatnot, tabling events, whatever, opportunities you have for community engagement, because it just is lacking. It's pretty disappointing. So thank you for the time.
Thank you, Michael Myers. I do have.
Just let me have one quick comment. I agree with everything that Mike is saying about community engagement. It's been something that we long for as well. We're absolutely on the same page. And I think it's vitally important that the community does get involved, because what we have a tendency to have are the people who are most concerned, whether they are in opposition or have a very strong opinion, but we don't necessarily hear all of the voices that we need to hear. And I think Mike is absolutely correct when he says that we need more involvement, and certainly we will continue to work on that. Just one quick correction about this erosion outside the park. Ken Gibson has never said that we don't have a responsibility. What I said is that stormwater management is the responsibility of Clean Water Services, and we will always work with them as a partner to resolve any issues that we might have. That's the way that works. So it's not that we don't take any responsibility for it, but we have to work through the proper entities to make those things happen. So thank you, Mike, for bringing it up. I appreciate it. Do we have anybody else, Ronnie?
We do. I have a question from Tom, and his question is there a plan to get King City to carbon neutral?
Yeah, this is Tom, and one of my interests is things like solar panels, electric cars, and I'd like to see King City be a leader where I think we can, with our size, we can probably set a really good example for towns and cities much bigger than us. So I'm just wondering if there's a plan, and if not, how can I add that to a future agenda?
I'll take a stab. Mayor, you want to take this?
Yeah, go ahead. You want me to talk, or you want to go?
I think we're going to talk about the same thing. So
no, you go ahead, Mike.
We're going to talk about smart cities and PGE and trying to work together to part of our growth in master planning and the transportation system plan is, one, how can we make the network efficient, right? Mm-hmm. And how do we reduce reliance on vehicular or automobile transportation? So we've tried to make sure that we are constantly interweaving different modes or multi-use pathways for bike and pedestrian transit east, west, north, south, and connecting into those regional trail systems to reduce that reliance on that vehicular traffic. The other elements that we're trying to do is work with PGE on developing King City into a smart city. So make sure that we have like fiber to the house, and that we're trying to put in solar protocols or energy efficiency codes into our master plan and our development code at the end of the day. So our hope is that through this master plan process, we can weave these elements in to at least be better than what we are today. I don't know if we can get quite to carbon neutral. We don't have a lot of polluters here in King City so far, but there's certain elements that we can definitely do to reduce our footprint. And I hope that a master plan helps set us in the right direction on that.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Mike, can I add something? Mayor, were you gonna say something too?
Yes, go ahead, Jamie.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say that Tom, since I heard on the tail end that you might have offered some ways to get involved, and so I would love. I think a lot of the people on here may know, but outside of my role on city council, I also am the founder and president of the King City Community Foundation. And a couple other, Viva Gaylor, I saw her on here too. She's a KCCF board member. But I would really welcome some input from you or some participation and some ideas on, what can we be doing and as a community, maybe some community outreach and some other things. So I'd love for you to get in touch directly, and I welcome all of that. So
Great. Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, Ronnie, do we have anything else?
I do. I have a question from Ron Johnson. Ron Johnson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Gibson and the rest of you. I just wanted to echo Mike Meyer's disappointment with the TSP. When I look at that map, which was kind of sprung on us at the last minute, I see a lot of roads kind of dead end nowhere. I see trails that dead end nowhere. And it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, those have got to go someplace, somewhere eventually, but there's no indication of that whatsoever. And I'd kind of like to get some input from the TSP on, what's the intent there? And I realize this is not a complete project yet, but it would be nice to have a better indication of where we're actually going to end up going with this. Secondly, the use of the roundabouts in there are, I didn't count them, but they're at every silly intersection there is. And I personally hate the roundabouts. My wife refers to them as calming circles, but I don't feel very calm going through them. I've been almost whacked on a number of these silly things. I think a straight on intersection is probably safer and easier to navigate for large vehicles such as the garbage trucks, the fire engines, my motor home, and it's just very difficult to navigate some of these depending on the size of them. I think these are things that need to be ironed out before we really press forward on this very much.
And Ron, I agree with you. There are a lot of decisions that still need to be made. And those are the kinds of things that will, in fact, get worked out. We're never going to create an unsafe situation in anything that we do. And we want it to be of great benefit to the overall community. So I hear you. And I know that we will continue to try to get to the point where we have the best possible decision and the best possible design as we move forward. So thank you for your comment. Ronnie, we are just about out of time. In fact, we're a little bit over. So unless we have another pressing question from someone, I think we're going to have to wrap it up.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap up the State of the City. So Mr. Mayor, if you can go to the closing comments or anything else that you want to.
Well, I'll just close by saying that I really do appreciate the participation. I really appreciate the comments and the concerns. I appreciate all of you who have taken your time out tonight to be with us. And as you can see, that there are a lot of things that we must do. There are a lot of things that need to be resolved. But at the same time, you see a team of people that's working very hard to make King City a great city, the best city it can possibly be. And we will get to an answer. And like I said, we're going to get to a good answer on a lot of these concerns that people have. It may not be popular, but it will be good. And I truly appreciate that. I'm going to stand by that because I think that's what we're going to end up with. It's impossible to satisfy everyone, but I think just by hearing everybody speak tonight, you know that we are bound and determined to do the right thing because we have a passion. We are King City. We live here and we love this community, and we will get to the point where we will make it better. So thanks to everyone who participated tonight. Ronnie, thank you for putting this together. I truly appreciate it. And everybody have a good evening. We're going to transfer into our city council meeting, but our guests can now go.
Or you can stay.
You're welcome to join us for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, do we want to take a recess real quick?
Yeah, let's take a break, 5 minutes, and then
Yep.
come back and dig in.
All right. You can stay logged in if you want.
Yeah, stay logged in and we'll put yourself on mute and or whatever. And we'll see you in 5 minutes.
Ronnie, are you pausing the YouTube feed? Okay.
No, I don't think there's a way for me to pause it, the live function of it. So it is what it is.
Yeah. We'll have more conversation after the council meeting.
So you just warned everybody this is being taped, so don't say anything you don't want taped, huh?
That's exactly right.
I can. Crystal, you don't need to sign off. Now's the good stuff. Stay for the city council. We have no newspaper in this town. This is the only place you can find out anything is the city council meeting. I'll show you. I'm not really. Hi. I'm kind of still dressed from work, and so I just didn't really think I'd share myself, but I want to say hi to Crystal and don't go. But I'm not logging off now.
Hey, this is Yvonne Johnson, Ron's wife.
Hi, Yvonne.
Hi. I just wanted to say we could be privy to the meeting that Mayor wants to have after the meeting, since you can't close this out to everybody that's listening. Let's not have any more of those backdoor meetings. I've been on too many committees and lived through too many of those. Okay?
What backdoor meetings are you talking about? I'm just on the budget committee, and I'm on the board of directors of King City Community Foundation. I didn't know there were any backdoor meetings.
Well, your mayor was just on here asking if, while this 5 minutes is going on, if Ronnie could close it to everybody so you guys could have a little meeting. And he
no, so you could go to the restroom.
Listen to me. He didn't know of any way to do that. So Mayor Gibson asked if, okay, well, let's all of us get together after the meeting. I've been on too many meetings. I've been on all kinds of federal, state, and down to community meetings. This is called backdoor politics.
Mrs. Johnson, with all due respect, that was not my understanding of what Mr. Gibson said. He simply wanted to pause the live feed to YouTube while we took a 5-minute break here so that people could go to the bathroom to transition between the state of the city and our now regular council meeting. So while I appreciate, I'm not going to say you didn't hear what you heard, but I can assure you that me sitting here as the council president, I did not understand that the mayor was asking for a secret meeting, nor am I sitting in a secret meeting right now. I'm here with you with my camera on. And my understanding was simply that the live feed on YouTube, right? It's tedious when you're watching a live feed and the break just keeps going on and on and on. And so that was truly my understanding. So I see Shauna is back with us now. I don't know, let's see who else is here, but that for my 2 cents, that was what I understood the mayor to mean.
Jamie, I appreciate that. That's exactly what I heard. But when he was told that there was no way that they could do that, he then continued to say, well, okay, we will have a short meeting following these meetings.
He was talking to the city manager on that.
About what? Is that Ronnie?
The mayor was talking to the city manager on that. There is no secret meeting going on. It's city business. All right, so Mr. Mayor, if you want to go ahead and get the meeting started, I'll go ahead and start muting everyone.
Okay. Hold on just 1 minute. Let me call the meeting to order.
I had to change my shirt because I was too hot. I'm still at 118 degrees. So
Jamie, I apologize for missing you. I just couldn't find you on the screen.
no, that was fine. I apologize to everyone for being late. It was Ken, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Okay, yeah, you were right on time, Jamie, and I love what you guys did. It was wonderful. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Do we have everybody back?
Back.
Okay, let's see.
Should have waved at my camera one last time.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to fix this so that.
I don't think we have everybody back yet.
We don't. Okay, all right, I got the gallery. Let's see. Well, we need to get started because we have quite a bit of stuff to do. We're going to call the meeting to order, and let's make sure that we do our moment of silence. There's still a lot of stuff going on in this world, and I think we need to be thankful for everything that we've been able to accomplish in spite of some of the things, but there are a lot of people that are still suffering for a lot of different reasons. So moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you. Call the meeting to order. Meeting has started. Mike, you want to do roll call?
Sure thing. All right, we'll start with Councilor Moore. All right, we'll skip Councilor Moore for now and go to Councilor Thompson.
Here.
Councilor Ocholi.
Yeah.
Councilor Paulson.
Here.
Councilor Platt.
Here.
Councilor Fender.
Here.
I'll try Councilor Moore one more time.
She had to step off. I know that she had an event that she had to go to, and she's trying to get back.
Okay.
It's excused for right now.
All right, and then Mayor Gibson.
Here.
All right, so I have 6 right now with 1 slightly absent.
Okay, but I knew that she was going to step off. Okay, we have approval of minutes from January 8th. That's 3.1. This is all 2021. 3.2, January 20th, and 3.3, March 17th of 2020. We need a motion for approval of those minutes.
I will move to approve the minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, Jamie.
Second.
And Councilor Paulson on that first, or Thompson? Paulson, okay.
Okay.
I see some shoulder shrugging, some.
Did we get it right?
I think so. I got Councilor Fender made the motion, Councilor Paulson seconded, followed shortly by Councilor Thompson.
Okay.
They can fight over it later.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. Now, the first thing we have on the agenda is 4.1, a transportation system.
Oh, we need a vote on that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Moving too fast.
Just by a show of hands, I can count. I have Councilor Ocholi, Councilor Platt, Mayor Gibson, Councilor Paulson, Councilor Fender, Councilor Thompson. That's 6. We are good.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, are we ready for DKS and Carl Springer?
Mr. Springer, the floor
Yes,
is
sir. I'm here.
Hi, Carl. How are you?
Good to see you, Mayor.
Good to see you too. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Okay. All right. You have the floor.
All right, then let me do this. Hang on. All right, is that viewable by everyone?
Yes, I can see it.
Great. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to give you a snapshot of where we are on the transportation system plan. As Mike mentioned, the phase of our work is beginning to wind down now, but several of the pieces of the plan work that we've done will continue forward into the master planning process. There are decisions to be made that I'll touch on toward the end of the presentation. So I know there was questions raised during the earlier discussion, and I know there are questions that need to be answered at this point. I'm not sure how well we can answer it tonight, but happy to discuss any questions that come up through this process. So first off is just kind of a quick overview of where we've been and a little bit about what we've seen so far. So our schedule for our work ran from pretty much all through 2020. So we began shortly before the pandemic began and managed to navigate our way through that in a virtual environment for public outreach for the most part. We did do some tabling events like the one last week, which is, I think, the best opportunity to reach out to the public. We're now at the point now where we've got projects, we've got network maps, we've got an idea of how we're going to finance it, but there are remaining issues to be sorted out, as I mentioned. The next couple of slides just give you a quick characterization of the total growth in the area. I think this was also touched on in the prior discussion. There's lots of development out there, King City being one of them. So these are just the raw numbers that we looked at in terms of employment and housing growth within King City proper. So this includes the existing city boundaries and then also the expansion areas. So looking at pretty substantial growth on both counts, both in terms of employment and increases in dwelling units. I find in my work now, I've done a lot of transportation system plans, a lot of TSPs, and what I find unique about King City is kind of the vision for the Kingston Terrace area and how it's transitioning from a town center area to a more rural area on the other side. I frankly haven't seen that before, so I congratulate you on that vision, and I think this plan will help carry that forward to some degree, as well as the master plan work to come. Stepping back a little bit, lots of other things going on in the Roy Rogers Road corridor. If you add them all up, it adds up to roughly a city of about the size of the city of Tigard, about 40,000 people. So it's a pretty impressive number for many reasons, but certainly from a transportation point of view, the dynamic that you see out there today will just continue to happen. There'll be continued growth in that corridor. Interesting to note that when we fast forward and look forward to the year 2040 and beyond, what you'll see is demands on Roy Rogers Road that aren't very different than they are today on 99W. So you think about the difference in character between those two facilities is pretty striking today, but I think it'll be less different over time. This next section, I'm just going to walk through relatively quickly, but just to introduce you to the fact that the Planning Commission has seen this material. We've laid out a vision, goals, and objectives, and this is kind of the cascading process that we go through to work our way from the grand idea of what the city is striving to become from a transportation perspective, and break that down to goals and objectives. And then in the end, performance measures. How are we going to measure success? And as Mike touched on, one of the measures of success that was extensively applied in this planning work was connectivity. Connectivity is a value for many reasons. One of them is health and vitality of the neighborhoods. The other is just general public health. And also, I can't think of the third one right off the top, but there's good things to be had in terms of connectivity, and not only streets, but pathways and trails as well. So the next few slides just introduce the goals and objectives that were applied. So we focused on accessibility and connectivity, safety and security, healthy people and environment, lots of environmental constraints and issues in this area, equity, reliability, fiscal responsibility, and of course, collaborating with your partner agencies. As you'll see in the planning maps to come, some of the key facilities surrounding the city really are the purview of your partner agencies. And so we coordinated with them through this process. I believe a couple memos were made available to you prior to this meeting. So hopefully this is just a highlight of those memos. I'm not going to go into them in depth just for the sake of time, but whenever we get into thinking about spending money, we first have to think about how much money do we have. So let's start with a funding forecast in terms of where the money might be developed from. And this just highlights a couple aspects of that one memo on financial forecasting. So the county provides a transportation development tax for selected facilities. We assume that as the city expands, that there'll be more additional roadways that are designated for that kind of support. And we estimate that dollar amount over the life of this plan, which is a 20-year plan, to be about 30 million. The other major funding opportunity is to establish a transportation system development charge. That rate system has not been decided yet for this growth area, but if we look at the neighboring growth areas in River Terrace and in Cooper Mountain and apply the rates that they're using, this area could generate something in the order of another $30 million over that time period. So together, those two sources alone represent $60 million, which can be applied to the transportation system. So on to a series of maps. You had a memo that lays out maps and also a very long list describing what each of these index numbers means. So let's start with the index map. And I think what I would draw your attention to is the west side of the map in the kind of the Kingston Terrace area, the town center area. We have a relatively stable grid system where we have parallel streets, both north, south, and east-west, that are mirroring the circulation capabilities of Beef Bend and Roy Rogers Road. As we work our way further to the east, the topographical constraints in that middle section around 150th, between 150th and 137th, introduce many challenges. And so we're showing a few different options in how to navigate and make circulation connections through that area. And I'll touch on that a little bit more detail towards the end of the presentation, but just wanted to kind of draw your attention to that. So where it's showing red dashed lines, those are options to be considered. Those are not decisions that are in the plan at this point. On to the motor vehicle network. Again, this is just highlighting the arterials and collectors. So surrounding the city, if you're starting from the west, you've got Roy Rogers Road, which is a major county arterial facility. You've got Beef Bend Road on the north, another arterial facility by the county. And then you have a principal arterial of 99W. So those have special standards and requirements to comply with in terms of how often local city streets can connect. And so one of the things you'll notice is that we're showing a series of parallel roads connecting up to Beef Bend Road to make that more accessible. Also to make it more convenient for walking and biking trips that want to head that way. The circles that are shown here gives an idea about how those intersections might be controlled, But frankly, those decisions get made at the time of development review based on the standards that the city put out there. I will note that a comment was made earlier about not supporting roundabouts. Those orange dots you see are not conventional roundabouts. Those are little bitty roundabouts, what we call mini roundabouts, the kind of roundabout that you can actually drive over and it won't hurt the car. It's just a dome in the middle of the intersection. So that's the concept that we put out there, something for the city to ponder going forward. Similar kind of scheme for the pedestrian network. This shows sidewalks and trails. You can see the trail running along the riverfront, basically from Elsner all the way over to 137th and then connecting down into the neighborhood back down. I don't know that name of that street. Maybe Mike would jump in on that. But so a series of both multi-use paths which allow walking and biking, and then conventional sidewalks illustrated here.
Which one was it, Carl? Sorry. Which one? Did you
I was thinking as we came down here and then we run down the right of way trail.
Yeah, the West Side Trail segment. And
yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then it ties into the existing neighborhood there.
Right.
I just couldn't remember the name of that street there.
Yeah, and across the Tualatin River is Heritage Pines.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So the bike system, I guess I'll draw your attention to, there's kind of a hierarchy here in terms of higher quality, more protected bike systems. The one that have the double black lines, those are bike lanes. They are protected and separated, so they could be on street where they have a barrier between the bike facilities and any kind of motor vehicle facility, or they could be off to the side, so actually out of the street on the adjacent part of the road system there, so that typically younger, less experienced cyclists can feel safe without the conflicts of riding directly adjacent to motor vehicle traffic. That's the scheme there. And then the other colors just show lesser degrees of protection going through the system. So the orange lines are where we're designating shared streets on many of the existing streets off on the east side. But we have, as you can see here, a continuous bike system from all the way from the Roy Rogers side all the way to 99W. So we try to span the whole city along several different routes. A few things not illustrated here. The transit network, we are expecting someday TriMet will boost its route services along Roy Rogers Road, that there will be bus stop improvements on 99W, and that the city will promote and support a local circulator bus, whether it be an actual person driving that vehicle or it could be an automated vehicle. The technology is there to do that today, and that's a decision that the city may have coming forward. The other items listed here go towards standards and guidelines that the city can apply as development comes forward in terms of how frequent streets should be spaced, how far people should be able to walk and get to another cross street. Those kinds of guidelines would help really shape the character and the footprint of the development that's to come. So on to the last section of my presentation. The biggest piece here is the east-west street alternatives. You've got our job in the TSP is to look for ways to connect from Roy Rogers Road over to 137th. And we developed a few different concepts in doing that. And some of the guidelines in terms of what we were considering was to manage vehicle speeds and volumes consistent with the adjoining neighborhoods. So what you'll see in a second is you'll see different cross-section ideas and different street amenities as the connections run from the west side to the east side. It's not the same cross-section all the way through. The idea is to recognize some constraints in right-of-way And the fact that the character of the fronting land use changes, as I noted earlier. You've got an urban context on the west side and a much more rural context on the east side. So those kinds of things were considered. This is just a simple topography diagram showing where the ravines are that are out there today. They're fairly pronounced and fairly significant, especially east of 150th there. So we looked at, currently we're looking at 5 different alternatives, and I'll show those in 3 groups. So this is alternative A, which is the most southerly of the bunch. This is an extension of Fisher Road, and you can see the designations there show 3 different cross sections as you go from west to east. So the west cross section has actual on-street parking and then dedicated bike facilities on both sides. As you move further to the east, that narrows to a much smaller complete cross section where you have the same number of lanes but no on-street parking and only walking and biking on one side of the road. The idea there is to have a much smaller footprint for the road. You're serving the same capacities, but just a much smaller requirement when that land does develop. Alternatives B and C, the striking difference there is it moves to the north pretty rapidly. So the middle section there is about 800 or 900 feet north of alternative A. And you can see significant alignment differences, and crossing less ravines is part of the idea. Is you're either not crossing the ravine or you're crossing a more narrow, less limited part of the ravine in doing so. Again, you've got an array of different cross-section types depending on where you are on the alignments. The last one is something completely different. It actually doesn't connect directly to Fisher. It goes more due east, connecting the 137th further to the north. And then traffic would be routed, could provide connections down to Fisher, but there is no direct connection here. That's the biggest difference between D and E and the prior 3 routes. And we wanted to test that and see what that looked like in terms of system connectivity and access for the demand. If you do an initial cut of how that shakes out for right-of-way, peds and bikes, motor vehicle, neighborhood impacts, and environmental impacts, the summary looks something like that. There's been some initial investigation in terms of what those things might cost. There's more work to do in that regard in terms of finding ways that might reduce that from where we're seeing here, but it's somewhere. So again, these costs are for that entire stretch. So all the way from Roy Rogers Road to 137th. So that's one way we can compare and contrast the value of those different routes. Steps ahead that I'm aware of, and Mike can add to this if he likes to, is our job at this point is to build you a draft TSP that includes many of the things that we've briefly touched on tonight: the goals, objectives, system maps, projects, cost estimates, and standards for the system in terms of what the right-of-way requirements will be, what the cross-section should look like, what the spacing should be, into a draft TSP document. That'll be the major takeaway from our work. After that, there's decisions to be had about that east-west connection, which one is the right fit, which one should the city put its support behind. And as the master planning process continues, there may be aspects that we looked at in the TSP that need to be refined or updated. And so those things would need to be synchronized in a way that provides you with a document that you can support at some point in the future. I believe the city's intention is to bring forward the TSP and the master plan roughly about the same time. So those 2 documents need to be in harmony by then. that is my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions, Mayor, if you have them or want to take them.
Let's open it up. Do we have any questions from anyone else at this time?
Carl, can you remove your screen real quick?
Oh, sure.
Just makes it easier so I can see everyone.
So Mr. Myers had a couple of questions and it's in the chat. And so Mr. Myers, I've kind of responded back as best I know. Our attorney has looked at the easement and I believe it said trails were allowed in there, but I think the most important thing to remember here is the timeline that we're talking. This is 20 years out, you know, so anything can happen during that time. We might be able to work out a deal, we might have that property get sold to somebody else. We don't know what the future beholds and we don't have a crystal ball, but we're just basically planning for planning purposes to make sure that we are putting the pieces in play that we're going to need for a complete community. So hopefully, you know, that eminent domain question that you had on there, that's a messy road. We would hope to avoid if at all possible. But I think the timeline is what's really applicable, not necessarily where the pathway goes or what the conservation easement beholds.
I was glad to hear that this TSP seems to be fluid. It seems to me when you have a draft, you tend to go with that draft and kind of build on it. So it sounds to me like it's fairly open in terms of looking for alternatives, which is encouraging. In regards to the 20-year plan, I think it's important to try to get it right from the very beginning, because then all things build on that. So I'm sure that's what you're trying to do, is try to get it right from the get-go so that you're not trying to correct things that are uncorrectable in the future. So I think you're all striving to, you know, get it right now rather than kicking the can down the road.
Thank you for that. Carl, did you have anything that you wanted to add at the end here? And I think Councillor Thompson's comment is correct in regards to our procedures and things we should. But since it's a presentation, Mayor, did you want to do questions now, or did you want to wait till the open forum to take comments?
Well, for this specific topic, I think it's smoother if we just go ahead and get some questions answered now. And then we'll go to the rest of it as part of the presentation. I would prefer that we go ahead and field questions now.
If I may, I completely agree. I just, the issue that I have is with people asking questions in the chat function. That's not really the appropriate place to be putting questions, comments, concerns. It's a public meeting, but we do have an agenda and there's a time and a place that's appropriate, I feel, for questions, comments, and concerns. And that was my point. So thank you.
Okay. So do we have any other questions?
Pertaining to the transportation plan.
Only pertaining to the TSP presentation for Carl or Mike or anyone else.
Gary, anybody?
You can use your raise your hand feature if you.
Looks like Viva had a question.
So Viva, yeah, thank you. It says, yes, the property is missing. Wait, Viva, do you have a question or is that just a statement?
Viva's talking about the park at the bottom of 131st Street that's currently owned by Washington County. That would be of interest to the city.
Oh,
we can acquire it. So we've been talking with Washington County on that, but that would be off of.
Yeah, that would be off
the transportation system plan.
But the map there did not include it. It would look like it was gone. And that was my question. And you had a trail and part of that was there. I thought the map was. If the map's right, then there isn't property there. If there's
There-
property there, the map's not right. And
No, so what in the map world that is called a shaded area. It's technically not in the city of King City, but we are looking, correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, we are looking at some of the TSP area to incorporate in that area, but it's not a focus. Am I wrong on that?
Is that for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Typically what we do is we show hopes for future connections, even when it's not appropriate at this point. Because, things change over time. And so you want to make sure you have an indication of what the intent is at some point. It's not like you have the ability to go build that today, but you're showing an intention of a future connection when it's appropriate to do so.
And that was my comment, is I didn't think the map reflected what was there or what we could do in the future.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Viva. Okay, any other questions? Okay, doesn't look like
Mayor,
that.
it looks like Ron Johnson is holding his hand up.
I can't see Ron. Where is he?
All right, let me.
You want me to unmute him, Ryan?
No, I'm getting there.
Yeah, I got him.
Okay, Ron Johnson, go ahead and do your question only pertaining to the transportation plan.
Okay, so in regards to the Riverside Trail that you showed running along the entire riverbank, from the east end or from the west end of where River Lane exists right now, before it crosses the conservation easement, on to the southeast, all the way to the power lines. Do you realize that trail, if that was put in, would cross through people's existing backyards? That for a large part of that, that's underwater during the winter.
Yeah, Ron, I think we talked about that. Sorry, I lost my light here. I'll turn it back on in a second, but that's where the Metro has that platted. We know and we understand that the likelihood of that going through everyone's backyard is like slim to none, but it's in that general vicinity. And we know that what it would most likely do would be to cross over at Montague to pick up at the bottom of, is it River Lane? What's the offshoot? River Lane's the main one. What's the one that dips down?
Well, are you talking about like the West Side Trail where it connects in?
No, you guys have a V, looks like this. River Lane's here. You guys have this one coming down.
Right, that's River Lane.
This is River Lane? I thought this was River Lane.
They're both River Lane.
Okay. Then it would tie into that southern version of River Lane, straight across from the community park, the King City Community Park.
Right.
It wouldn't go through everyone's backyard. It would follow the right of way, the street area.
Okay, but you're looking at more up on the street. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry,
you're
about,
welcome.
sorry about the map difficulty there.
Okay. Shauna, you have a question?
Yeah, for Carl. I didn't see that presentation in our packet. Can you share that with us?
You bet.
That'd be awesome. Thanks.
I think Ronnie already has it.
He did. He does have it. We'll get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Carl or regarding the transportation system plan?
I do want to just put one more thing out there, and it was mentioned earlier, but there is the tour next Monday.
Yes,
So
I will be
keep it in
there.
your mind.
Looking forward to it.
And just to jump on as well, so I've been in discussion with Mike Myers about trying to get a third tour done after hours for those of us who find it difficult to take time. So what is the time? Can you remind us the time, Mike, of your tour?
It's not mine.
All right, not your. I mean the tour. I meant the tour you were talking about. I apologize.
Well, Mr. Russell, who I think is on this Zoom call, he's the one spearheading this. So thank you, Mr. Russell. And it's 10 a.m. on the 21st. And
Okay.
the plan is to meet at the King City Community Park, and then we can probably carpool up and around over to River Lane.
Okay.
I do
And
have
then
another.
I was sorry, Ronnie. I was just going to say, I'm also trying to get a tour either in the late afternoon, early evening, or on a weekend, because I would like to visit the site as well. And Micah, I don't know if you have or not, but for some of us that are finding it difficult to attend, I think a weekend. So Mike and some of the other homeowners have graciously offered to accommodate that. So I'll circulate a date shortly, when we kind of firm it up a little.
Regarding that possible third tour, we were waiting until after the tour on Monday, the 21st, to see which counselors and planning commissioners have not been able to make the first tour or the second one, and then try to work with schedules for those that would like to do one on a weekend or after hours. And I just want to make a comment regarding the path in the backyards. That's really good information to know, Mike. And I don't know how we can better communicate between, information like that from you and from Carl to get a better understanding of exactly what's going on. You guys live and breathe it, and we don't. And when we see a map with a trail in our backyard, we think, oh my God, there's going to be a trail in my backyard. We don't know that the chances are slim to none that there's going to be a trail in my backyard. So it would be really nice to somehow, get together with, Rivermead people and myself and Carl and, whoever else to kind of have a better dialogue, because I think so much is being lost in this process. That if we're able to communicate better, I think there'd be a better understanding, less mistrust, maybe more sharing of ideas and whatnot. Anyway, I just want to throw that out there. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Okay.
It's time to move on.
What was that, Ronnie?
It's time to move.
Yeah.
We're getting a little
on.
behind. Yep.
Okay, we're gonna close this topic. Thank you guys for your participation. I appreciate it very much. Carl, thank you for the presentation. It was well done.
You're welcome, Mayor.
Okay. All right, let's move on to open forum. We welcome public comment at this time. The council will be happy to receive your comment pertaining to items on the agenda, including questions, suggestions, complaints, and items for the future. Each person's time will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have anyone? Ronnie, you're muted.
Let me try that again. I have Gary Woods. All right, go ahead, Gary.
Gary, thank you for joining us. State your full name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, Gary Woods, 13538 Southwest Fisher Road in King City. And I want to thank the council members for their volunteer service to our community, because I know it takes a lot of your time and effort when you have full-time jobs. You're not full-time retired like I am. And I would just like to encourage you, as you're serving the King City community, that find ways to engage with the people more, because as you can see on this call, we're talking about a very important subject tonight, and we have very few King City residents here. I mean, I've gone out and talked to more King City residents that are on this call, tonight, and everybody that I've talked to is very adamantly against extending Fisher Road and running through the Edgewater community. And the feeling that I get as I talk to my neighbors is that they think, well, there's nothing that we can do to stop it. You can't stop the government. And people are becoming discouraged and are just saying, well, whatever's going to be is going to be. And so I would encourage the King City councilors to get out and find more ways to discuss with people outside of King City council meetings, because you're obviously not attracting people to the meetings. And I think the park event the other day was a good a good event. I think you got an earful from a lot of people that came out and spoke their mind. But there's a lot more people as well. So as we go through this process, I hope that you'll find ways to interact. And I'd like the process to slow down because COVID has stopped us from having interaction with each other. It kept us in Zoom. And so I really hope that things can slow down and we take time to do this right and have time to talk with each other and make sure that we do what's best for the president of the city. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Well stated. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Does anybody else want to speak?
Okay.
Have questions?
Can can I just respond to Gary's comment?
Yeah, go ahead, Jane.
Okay. And I really enjoyed at the I loved the meeting that we had down in the park. I thought it was great. I stayed much later. And so that was I think Gary and Mike Myers and a few other residents and myself stayed about another hour chit-chatting, and I thought it was wonderful. And I agree with Gary. I just don't think we have our conduit of participation here yet. The problem that I have, and Gary, I've said this to Gary many times, is that I am frustrated because I just personally don't have any more time over what I already give to go out and try to entice more people after that. And at some point, people have to we have to step to them and they have to step to us, right? They have to join us in the participation. And I think what I find frustrating, Gary, and is that I know you've reached out to a ton of people. I applaud all your efforts on Nextdoor and getting people interested and informed, and they all comment on Nextdoor, and yet very few of them are here tonight with you. And so it's hard not to be frustrated after your efforts and my personal efforts and other efforts, and that I find the time to make these meetings. I expect everyone else to as well. And so I think that's what's difficult. I'm always open for other suggestions as to what else we could be doing. I certainly welcome all suggestions for that. And I agree. I don't think we have it down yet to a T. We can always strive to do better. We can always strive to get more engagement. But at some point, people have to have responsibility and join us as well. And so it is a continual balance. I will always strive to do more. And I do, though, expect the community to also strive to participate. So that's all I want to say.
Well said, Jamie.
I do have one more, and Viva.
Viva?
Yep.
Thank you, Ronnie. I would like to give an update on our trash.
You need to state your full name and your address. This is public.
I'm sorry, I usually do that. Viva Gaylor, 12700 Beef Bend Road.
Okay.
I would like to give an update with my King City Community Foundation hat on. We were unable to get the shred truck lined up as quick as we wanted. So we're going to do it later in the summer and have the dumpster there also. Also, with my King City Community Foundation hat on, I would like to invite anyone who's available on Tuesday at noon, the last Tuesday of the month, to come to the King City Community Foundation Business Roundtable, where we just talk about different things, and anybody interested in business in the King City, I would love to see you there. And you can write a note to the King City Community Foundation at our website. And I want you all to look forward to an event coming up this summer that will be the Mayor's Golf Tournament. And we have not gotten much more on it than that we're going to do it. Because Bob Ohms, I went out to play golf, and just like that, I got nailed on the golf course. And Bob Ohms said, has the mayor talked to you? We'd like a golf tournament. And then one other thing on gathering people. Let's encourage the community that this is the best live theater in town. There is no better entertainment in King City or in the whole metropolitan area than the King City Council meeting. We have entertaining speakers. We have great things, and you can have your finger on the pulse of what's going on in King City because we only have one limp monthly newspaper. And that is why I have come always when I have not been a member of anything, was just so that I could find out what's going on in my community. And sometimes I was the only one in the meeting. And one time Billy Reynolds asked me, Viva, why do you come? And I said, you're the best live cheap entertainment in town. And she goes, we're entertainment? And I go, way more than you think. And with that, I will close. Thank you for your time. And I hope to see everyone at our garbage event and to help us do the mayor's golf tournament. And anybody that does want to get involved, the King City Community Foundation would love help. Thank you.
Thank you, Viva.
Thank you, Viva.
Outstanding. Thank you for that. Okay, we're going to close public forum now. I appreciate all the comments, appreciate all the speakers. Let's move on to new business. We have 7.1. We have a planning commission appointment, and that is Jan Tyso. I hope I pronounced that properly. Is Jane with us? Jan? Is Jan here?
It's Jan, and I think she's on here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Jan.
There you are,
It says Jan Frudiger, but that's my former name.
Oh, okay. All right. How are
I'm
you?
here and my camera's not working, so I'm anonymous.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Jan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, on your community development background and history?
Sure. I got a community development degree from Portland State in 2012. It was a lot of things had happened in my life and I needed to do something different. And I'd always been involved as a business person with the business community in downtown Portland, working on the West Side Development Project, West Burnside Development Project, and other things of that nature, and being a member of the Nob Hill Business Association and the Northwest Neighborhood Association. And I was kind of the shuttle liaison between those two organizations when they were arguing over parking permits and that sort of thing. And so I have always spent time volunteering in my community, and I haven't for a few years now. And so I, want to be able to utilize what I got as a degree and also to give back to the community of King City.
Can you talk to me a little bit about your work at City of Woodburn, City of Donald?
Sure. I did internship for Woodburn in their economic development department, and working on trying to do wayfinding that would make it easier for people to get from one place to another, and for Woodburn to be more attractive. And we worked on a mural.
Rosemary's cat sitting on the camera. Oh, sorry.
No, whatever. And then also for the small municipality of Donald, they were doing a community fundraiser, of which I was the kind of student volunteer. So.
Sorry for the interruption, Jan. We had a cat on a camera. It's great.
You have a cat?
One of our attendants had a cat on their camera.
Oh, okay.
It wouldn't be a Zoom meeting without a cat in the camera. So
or some sort of pet of some kind. So, Jen, we really appreciate you and your interest in this position. We need you. There's no doubt about it. I'd like for any of the counselors to ask questions if they have any of you, but I certainly do like what I see, and I would love to have you. Counselors, any questions? And we do have a couple of planning commissioners on, Lori and Mark. Do you guys have any questions?
I have a question. I'm not sure if I missed it on your application. I think you did put it on there, but I forgot now. Sorry, this is Counselor Thompson. Hi, Jan.
Hi.
I was just wondering how long you've lived in King City.
I've lived in King City since 2011, so 10 years.
Okay, great.
Okay, wonderful. Absolutely.
I have a question, Mayor.
Go ahead.
So, Jan, as this is Jamie Fender. Since you've lived in King City for that long, I'm sure over the years you are familiar with the various disagreements in the HOA boards and kind of public disputes and all of that. The Planning Commission has a very tall task coming up ahead of it. So can you talk to me a little bit about what's your style when maybe there's a disagreement or a dissension amongst the groups, and how would you resolve those kind of issues in a group setting or a committee setting like that? I don't know if that's I didn't articulate that question very well, but I guess more your style of dispute resolution. How about that?
Sure. And that's very fair, because when you get a community development degree at Portland State, you spend a lot of time learning how to do whiteboard meetings. And so then it's, what is the issue? What are the elements that all parties can say yes to? And what are the ones that you might say maybe to? And then what are the ones that you're just going to have to leave off the table for the time being? And so I believe in dialogue and people coming together. And the tabling event last week, I think, was a good example of that, of the ability to listen. I think it's important to hear out the people who have very strong emotions about it, about a position or a situation, and to hear what their emotions are and try to get beyond the emotions to have you thought about it in this way? Are there things about what we are attempting to do as a group that you can buy into? That sort of thing, so that you can change the conversation so that they can feel like they are in control of themselves, and to have a participation in what the final decision is going to be.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, well done. Any other questions for Jan? So I think we can move to a motion and a vote to add Jan to the Planning Commission.
A motion to approve to appoint Jan to the Planning Commission.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, how about a vote? All in favor, you can raise your hand, or do you need a verbal, Mike?
I'll just call them out. I have Councilor Paulson, Councilor Thompson, Councilor Platt, Councilor Ocholi, Councilor Fender, and Mayor Gibson. I don't believe we have Councilor Moore back yet.
No, she's not.
That's 6. Just as a point of order, we typically wait a period after the interview session before we appoint, but if you all feel comfortable moving, it is your decision. So, and we already have a motion and a second and a vote, so I think we move forward.
I'd like to move.
Congratulations, Jan.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
Jan, thank you so much. I'm telling you in advance that I appreciate your service. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and you are part of what we need. So thank you so much.
Well, I'm excited to get to participate in a more formal way. This is great. I appreciate your vote of confidence. So.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay. I think I will mute myself again, which is probably best.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have a public hearing. That's 7.2, case LU 2021-01, King City Community Development Code and Comprehensive Plan in support of House Bill 2001 amendments. Mike, you want to take it from here?
We'll try. We have Keith Leiden on. He is our planner here at King City. And Keith, do we have Marcy on tonight or not? Probably not. I don't see Marcy.
I don't see her either.
But I think we can kind of move forward.
I think we can, yes.
Because before we get started on this, our ultimate goal tonight is to conduct the first reading and open the public hearing for this matter. Upon completion of opening the public hearing, we can continue it to a time and date certain, which at this point is August 18th at 6 p.m. So I'm just putting that out there right off the bat so everyone understands our intentions. Tonight is primarily introducing this ordinance, which relates to House Bill 2001. So that being said, I'll read the script if you all can bear with me. So the purpose of this hearing is to consider case number LU 2021-01, King City Community Development Code and Comprehensive Plan for House Bill 2001 amendments. We'll identify the subject, announce when the public hearing is open, and request anyone interested in stating their feelings regarding this matter being considered. Failure to raise an issue in person or by letter to the City Council precludes the raising of that issue at a subsequent time on appeal. Any party withstanding may appeal the decision of the City Council to the Attorney General or the District Attorney according to the rules adopted by the board. If you wish to speak for, against, or comment in any way, please identify yourself as wishing to speak when we call for testimony. There will be 3 minutes for individuals, 10 minutes for the applicants, 10 minutes for applicant rebuttal, 10 minutes for persons representing 4 or more persons. This public hearing. Call to order the public hearing regarding case number LU 2021-01, King City Community Development Code and Comprehensive Plan, House Bill 2001 amendments. By first reading only, an ordinance amending the Community Development Code to adopt amendments to comply with House Bill 2001. Do any members of the City Council wish to abstain? Hearing none. Do any members of the City Council wish to report any significant ex parte contact? If so, is there any member of the audience who wish to comment or challenge that report? City Council? Hearing none. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge the jurisdiction of the City Council to hear this matter? Hearing none. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge any individual member of the City Council? Hearing none. For all those wishing to testify, please be aware that if you fail to raise an issue in person or by letter today, you will be unable to raise that issue at a subsequent item on appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals. Failure to specifically address the approval criteria that staff will describe also precludes the raising of an issue related to those criteria on appeal. At this time, we call for the staff to present their report. So, Keith, you want to take it from here? You're on mute, buddy.
Yeah, I've been on mute so long, I forgot. Okay. Well, I'll draw your attention to starting on page 18 of the PDF in your packet. So I drafted some very rough findings that we'll eventually need for this action when we get to the second reading. And these findings will need to be improved. In particular, I will need to also address the Oregon administrative rules as they pertain to House Bill 2001. So those will be prepared for the second reading in August. And then starting on page 22 of the PDF of the packet, you have the beginning of the staff report that was prepared by UrbsWorks, which explains what it is we are doing. So in short, and I think you folks are all familiar with this, House Bill 2001 is a bill that was passed by the legislature to get cities and counties to be in a better position to accommodate and encourage what we call middle housing, which would be housing that's between single family detached and apartments or condominiums. So this is be duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, townhouses, and what we call cottage clusters, which are smaller detached residences that are on sometimes on one parcel that have some communal areas that are available to all of the houses. So as UrbsWorks was contracted by the city through a grant from the state, and they put together a package of amendments for us that are described in this staff report. And one of the things we did find when we looked at this is that our current zoning is, contrary to some other jurisdictions, is pretty closely in alignment already with what House Bill 2001 requires, which is to allow for duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes, and cottage clusters. Another thing to keep in mind is that for the existing King City, everything is really essentially developed. We have very little developable land. And so the effect of this bill is really going to be felt by us mostly in the master plan area to the west of 137th, and will have relatively little effect in the existing city. This is also reinforced by the fact that a number of our developments have covenants and restrictions, which restrict some of these housing types. And at least at this point, the state and the local jurisdictions cannot rescind those CC&Rs. So let's see, then on, this would be on page 27 of the PDF that you have. UrbsWorks provides a table summary of the types of amendments and what sections of the Community Development Code would be amended. And then that is followed by the amendments themselves starting on page 31. We did receive some comments from the State Department of Land Conservation and Development. They pointed out that there were a couple dimensional standards that we need to change. I think we also will want to take a little more time to make it a little clearer how these amendments would fit into our existing Community Development Code. We can do that between now and the proposed August 18th meeting. So, oh, I guess one more thing is that we have in addition to just making the changes to comply with House Bill 2001, the city is going to be conducting some amendments to the Community Development Code that are just updates and so forth. And then, of course, as you might guess, we're also going to have amendments related to the master plan. and how we can implement a master plan through the community development code. So we realize we have a series of amendments that are coming up. One of the things that was started with the amendments that UrbsWorks did is that we are proposing to condense the residential zones into really one chapter, and then have tables that they have started. You'll see on some of the pages in the code changes, tables to show what uses are permitted in what zones, which uses are not allowed in which zones, as opposed to having a separate chapter of 2 or 3 pages for each zone, saying essentially repeating the same thing. So we think it'll be much easier for people to use, and we will be expanding on this idea of using tables for standards and so forth in residential zones as we go forward. So I think that's all I have right now, and happy to answer any questions.
And Marcy is on as well, Keith.
Oh, great.
And I just want to mention before we start getting into this process that essentially what we've retained UrbsWorks to do is take a long, hard look at our code. And I know Keith has already covered this, but kind of bring us into compliance with House Bill 2001. So these code amendments that are being proposed are to get us into compliance with that House bill. And the deadline on that, if I'm not mistaken, is June of 2022 before we have to have these active and live.
That's correct.
So there's absolutely no rush, but we had to do the public hearings in accordance with the DLCD technical assistant grant before the end of this month. And so that's what we're doing. And there's no rush to adopt it. So that's why we have plenty of time. We can table this public hearing, and this is just us checking a box so that we can move it forward. We feel pretty confident in the work that UrbsWorks has put into this. DLCD is pretty happy with it. There's a couple things that DLCD had commented on that we'd like to try to implement before the August hearing, and make sure that those are all shipshape and tight. So that's my 2 cents. Marcy, you want to take it for a second?
Oh, I'm not muted. Okay. Hello, everyone. Everything that, I'm sorry I missed your full presentation, Keith, but everything that Mike has said is true. You have until next year actually to adopt this, I guess. Do you want me to go through the presentation? Is that through the memo? Or did Keith already do that?
Keith, do you want her to do a deeper dive into like what the impacts are? Or?
I think maybe just see if the counselors have any questions at this point.
Yeah, I think Keith did a great job covering most of it. So, counselors, I can only see a few of you.
We did a pretty deep dive at the Planning Commission on this. So, and I attended that Planning Commission, so I'm pretty well versed on what has been done so far and what the intent is. But counselors, speak up if you have any questions that you want to ask, but there will be plenty of time to try to absorb this and get more questions answered, okay?
Councilor Platt.
I didn't hear any mention, Keith, of ADUs. Is that affected in this bill?
No, not really. Although I think when we are fine tuning some of our standards, we'll be thinking about ADUs as we look at the others as well. But this is really focused on duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, townhomes, and cottage clusters, not ADUs. So there were some other requirements for ADUs that we needed to comply with before. Some of that started back around, I think it was like 2010, 2013, the city adopted its first ADU or accessory dwelling unit requirements. Since then, our understanding has grown about how ADUs can be built, what whether they're attached or a conversion, detached or a conversion of an existing building. And so we did amend our ADU requirements just recently to comply with really what the latest thinking is and how we can accommodate those more easily. So this one is related to but separate from ADUs.
And I heard you say something about the state code could not overrule CCNRs.
That's correct. So if a subdivision was platted and they put CCNR, recorded CCNRs that, for example, prohibited duplexes on an individual lot, those CCNRs would still stand. Now, we do have something in our code that we adopted recently that prohibits new developments from adopting CCNRs that would limit housing in this way. But at least at this point, the state's concluded we really can't go back and rewind the clock and say that these don't matter anymore, that those are still in effect.
So if I understand what you're saying, someone with a single level dwelling could not, if the CCNRs prevent it, could not build a second story on it as an ADU.
Correct. So for example, my understanding of the CCNRs for the King City Civic Association is that if you have one of the single family homes in the SF zone, you would not be able to convert that or tear it down and put in a duplex because their CCNRs would prohibit that.
And it looks like that will stand, that the state will not try to overrule it.
That's what is being said right now. Yes, correct.
Thank you.
And I agree with that based on what I have been told as well.
And then Keith, but also the established CCNRs now, they can't amend themselves to then prohibit it. If it's currently allowed, they can't amend to make it prohibited, correct?
Correct. And for the most part, this is going to apply to new subdivisions that we plat from here on forward, that we would look at the CCNRs before they're recorded and make sure that they don't have any prohibitions that would be contrary to this bill.
Does last question, sorry, Keith. By cluster, does that mean like micro homes, or is it more like old barrack style where they were kind of attached in a U shape with a common garden in the center or something like that?
Not necessarily attached, but they would be in a common area.
Do we have it? Does our code deal with micro homes? Or tiny?
Well,
I don't even know what the
I
name
guess
is.
one
Tiny home?
version of a micro home could be an ADU.
Right. Okay.
Cottage clusters tend to be a little bit bigger. I think Marcy can help me there, but I think they're more in the 900 square foot range. So a small single family house as opposed to a micro.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
They could be smaller, but 900 square feet is the upper limit for the footprint.
Okay.
They can be 1,400 square feet average. So you could have some small ones and some larger ones within a cluster. And one last thing is that this particular cottage cluster ordinance that we have to adopt to be compliant with the state rule doesn't allow them to be attached.
Okay.
The city could go further, though. They could allow like a variant of the cottage cluster to be attached. And I think that would be on the table for the Kingston Terrace update.
So can I have this question, this lingering question about the cottage clusters and how they work, because when I think about the hierarchy of land uses and the efficiency of land use, it seems to me that like if you're going to well, let me just put it this way, a quadplex or a triplex would be more efficient than a cottage cluster for use of the land, right? So a cottage cluster, if you have a 900 or 1,000 or 1,500 square foot house, how big is the lot? Are you talking one lot's going to accommodate these when they're talking lots of 2,500 square feet? Because yeah, I don't think you can fit it because these are single story probably, right? Or maybe they're 2-story, but it seems like when I think of efficiency of land use, that a multifamily unit, such as a triplex or a quadplex with shared wall construction, is going to be more efficient and possibly more affordable as a condo unit than a cottage cluster would be.
It's possible, but I think they're trying to offer a lot of different options, and a lot of housing providers, especially affordable housing providers, like this housing type. And on a 7,000 square foot lot, that's the minimum size that a city has to allow a fourplex or a quadplex on. That's also the minimum size that a cottage cluster can go on. And you can fit 5 cottages on a 7,000 square foot lot. You could actually fit quite a bit more. So in terms of density, it could be denser, but it's kind of smaller. Whereas on a fourplex, you can only put 4 on, it's a max, your max is a fourplex on a 7,000 square foot lot, but you could potentially put 5 or more cottages on that same lot. So it is a higher density product, so to speak.
Now,
Mike, when I lived
those individually? Sorry.
Pardon? They're
my
on
question,
the same lot. They're on the same lot.
so it'd be one owner, it'd be like a mobile home park, essentially, like a small mobile home park.
Correct.
Okay.
Mike, when we lived off of Mississippi Avenue in North Portland, we lived on a lot size that the neighbor next door had a similar lot size, and it was a duplex next door, a 2-story duplex. We had a U-shaped attached cottages, and I think there was 7 of them in a U-shape. They were the old shipping management barracks of the shipping yard managers. And they were 900 square feet, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and then a huge shared courtyard with chickens, which was amazing. But and those were all rentals, and I was always surprised at how it didn't feel very. I was just surprised how many little cottages were on there compared to just the 2-story bigger house next door. So anyway, it was fun and cute and very North Portland.
Okay.
All right, as Ronnie says, we are out of time for the staff presentation. So are there any other, so at this point in time, for proper order, does any member of the audience wish to speak in favor of this application?
Go ahead and raise your hand so I know you're, and I can help you unmute.
Hearing none, seeing none. Does any member of the audience wish to speak in opposition to this application?
Please raise your hand.
Seeing and hearing none. Does anyone wish to provide a neutral comment?
Please raise your hand.
All right. At this time, the staff may present a recommendation, which I mentioned at the beginning of the hearing. And our recommendation is to provide us a little bit of an extension to refine our findings and incorporate the comments from Department of Land Conservation and Development. So staff is recommending that we table and continue the public hearing until August 18th at 6 p.m. in person at King City City Hall.
You need a motion on that?
I would need a motion, yes.
I move that, I can't repeat everything you said.
Just say so moved.
Okay, we'll do it that way. So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to table to August 18th at 6 p.m. in person at the King City Hall.
Mr. Mayor, city recorder request roll call, please.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm writing. All right, I have Councilor Thompson, Councilor Ocholi, Councilor Platt, Councilor Fender, and Councilor Paulson, and Mayor Gibson. So I have 6.
And then Kate, Councilor Moore is absent.
That's correct. So it has been moved, seconded, and voted unanimously to table the event, to table this application until August 18th, 6 p.m. King City Hall, at which time we will plan to conduct or to finalize the public hearing and hopefully conduct the second reading for adoption. If there are no further questions, we can close this public hearing at this time since it's tabled. No, we're tabling, so.
We're not
We're not
closing.
We're not
Right,
closing,
okay,
we're
okay.
So we're closing the public hearing.
Yes.
No.
Well, no.
No.
That's what
We're
I'm.
not closing the public
Okay.
hearing.
We tabled it, so
Tabling
it
it.
doesn't need.
Tabled it.
Yeah, we're
So-
tabling it.
That's it.
Let's move
So
on.
we
All right,
can
now
just
we'll
hold
move
our
on to-
discussion until next, in August. So we're gonna
That's
hold our
correct.
discussion on this matter until August, at which point in time the council can deliberate.
Well, let me find the correct words. We're moving on to the next topic. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
All right, let us move on to the next topic. Okay, we have 7.3, that is an OLCC license application, Go Fresh Inc., which is also known as Grocery Outlet. Now, I know that this application is in our packet. Do we have somebody from Go Fresh here on this call?
I don't think we do. So what's happening is Grocery Outlet is the current owners are moving somewhere else. They're selling their business, and Go Fresh is purchasing it. So he's in the transition of doing the business license and OLCC license.
So let me get this straight.
So transferring, yeah.
Okay, so I just want to understand. So Grocery Outlet is going to be changing ownership, and Go Fresh is going to be coming in, and they're the ones that are, it's the same organization though, isn't it?
They're gonna
Yes,
be doing
yes.
business as Grocery Outlet. So
Okay.
they're just, I think they're buying an interest into the Grocery Outlet that's here.
Yeah,
And
and
he has to change everything to put it in his, under
exactly.
his umbrella.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just a little bit of background on him. He also owns the Grocery Outlet in Scappoose.
Mhm.
So he knows what he's doing with the chain. Yeah.
Okay, so the way it works, when we deal with a liquor license, we're not approving it. It's already approved.
No, this one needs to be approved. So I need a motion, a second, and a roll call.
The point is that it was approved by the OLCC.
Yes, it was approved by OLCC, but the city needs to approve it.
The city, you'll recall the city code has this silly thing where we have to go through this process anytime anyone wants.
And it's purely just a cursory approval because it's already approved by the OLCC.
Pretty much.
Okay,
Pretty much, yeah.
I want to be clear on that.
Before we vote, however, I have a question for Ernie.
Ernie,
Is he here?
he is.
Ernie, have you shopped at the Grocery Outlet in Scappoose?
I do.
How does it compare to King City's Grocery Outlet, Ernie?
Well, I honestly have never shopped in the King City grocery outlet, but they're very similar. And we do have our wine lovers out here in Scappoose, and so I think they share a lot of the same business model.
They do.
All right, move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to move to approve. I have Counselor Fender moving and Counselor Thompson seconding. All those in favor, I have Counselor Thompson, Counselor Platt, Counselor Fender, Counselor Paulson, Counselor Ocholi, and Mayor Gibson. That makes 6.
Thank you, Ernie.
Okay. Let's move on. We've got a few more things to do. We're going to get into some budget conversation next. I can get back to my opening page here. My goodness, my teleprompter is slow. Are you guys going to put this on the, are you going to share a screen on this?
If you like, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea to share the screen. I'll tell you what the next item is. I'm almost there.
The transfer budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Transfer budget. Now we're talking about 7.4 resolution R-2021-03 fiscal year 2021 transfer budget. Mike, you talking to this?
I suppose. So we had just some last minute revisions that we had to get through, a little reduction. Services contracted staff charge other programs, huh? So planning and finance, essentially we had some additional fees associated with our planning work that all came through, and we just have to make sure that that's covered. So this transfer budget will cover those just in time for our audit process to begin.
Okay.
You all see that?
Yep.
So that gets us right with the audit and the books. So all the books are solid, and hopefully that's the last one.
Okay.
And then we can move on to better and greater things here shortly.
Okay. So we need a motion on this one. Do we have any questions or concerns about this? Councilors? Okay, we need a motion then.
Seeing none.
I move adopting resolution R-2021-03.
Second.
Is that Counselor Thompson?
Fender.
Fender, okay. It was so quiet. I was like,
yeah.
Sneak attack.
Okay, all in favor?
I have Counselor Thompson, Counselor Platt, Mayor Gibson, Counselor Paulson, Counselor Fender, and Counselor Ocholi. So 6. Thank you. Now we can move into a budget.
It's resolution 4 or
Yeah, R-2021-04.
Yeah.
Right. So the budget committee approved the budget on May 12th and recommended it for approval to the city council. As presented here, there have been no other changes or modifications from that draft. Everything in this draft is the same as it was presented to the budget committee and approved as such. I would be happy to walk through this line by line, but we've already done that. So you are welcome to ask any questions or concerns that you've thought of over the last month or so that's been stewing in your minds.
Yeah, I would only suggest that any of you who were not able to attend the budget meeting, if you have any questions, this would be the ideal time to ask.
Hearing and seeing none.
Okay.
Can we get a motion on resolution 2021-04 to adopt the budget as proposed by the budget committee?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I have Counselor Thompson, Counselor Platt, Mayor Gibson, Counselor Paulson, Counselor Fender, and I have to switch sides, Counselor Ocholi. Gotcha. So I have 6-0 to approve the budget as presented from the budget committee.
Okay. All right, let's move on to 7.6, Resolution R-2021-05, city elects to receive state revenues for fiscal year 21-22.
I'm getting there.
So this resolution essentially states that the city elects to receive tax revenues from the state of Oregon. Any questions on this particular ordinance? Is basically saying that yes, we accept the conditions and that we are willing to accept the funds from the state of Oregon.
Yes, we want the funds.
Can I get a motion?
I move for approval of R-2021-05.
Second.
All in favor?
Counselor Thompson, Counselor Platt, Mayor Gibson, Counselor Paulson, Counselor Fender, and Counselor Ocholi. 6-0.
Okay. Thank you.
The next is for the services provided by the city. Do you consent that these are the services provided by the city? And if so, can I get a motion and a second that King City provides the following services listed in resolution 2021-06?
I have a question.
Yes, Counselor Thompson.
Does the city provide sewer or does Clean Water Services provide sewer?
We provide sewer through Clean Water Services in contract with. So all that good stuff.
But we don't manage it. You know, they.
Franchise agreement.
Right. What was that, Counselor Platt?
Is that a franchise agreement?
Yes. So can I get a motion to approve resolution 2021-06?
I'll move to approve resolution R-2021-06.
That's Counselor Platt, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All in favor?
Counselor Thompson, Counselor Platt, Mayor Gibson, Counselor Paulson, Counselor Fender, and Counselor Ocholi. Thank you.
Hey, Viva was so right.
0. All right.
Okay, 7.8, R-2021-07, allowance of uncollectible accounts and write-offs of accounts receivable policy.
So this is a new one that we discussed actually at the last meeting. If you'll recall, we had to write off about $250,000. That kind of hits our bottom line. So this is basically establishing a policy that continues it so that we don't have to write off big sums. It'll just be an annual, we write it off. Annually, we write it off. That way it doesn't accumulate and then we get stuck with a giant $250,000 write-off at the end of 1 year.
What is a typical annual amount?
I would say $70,000 to $100,000.
And then Mike, just to refresh our recollection on this. So we're writing it off so that it moves off of the books. However, if money is still owed, it's not that we're not pursuing collection activities or delinquency collection. It's simply that gets transferred over from our books to, collection action or something like that, because we're not. So is that
is my question clear? Sorry.
Yes, ultimately it makes our numbers more accurate, right? Because we have all this accounts receivable floating out there that we never, that may never materialize. And the likelihood of it actually materializing is like pretty slim.
Right.
Occasionally we'll get somebody that starts making a payment, but a lot of these people are repeat offenders. They're barely scraping by. They can't afford insurance on their car, you know, so they're either declaring bankruptcy or they're just not paying it. And it just, I mean, they get their driver's license suspended and then they drive without a driver's license. And it just, it's the same, it's just, they're stuck in a rut, if you will. And the likelihood of them getting out of that rut is probably unlikely. But yeah, we're not dismissing the fact that we have these accounts in collections.
Right.
But we are saying that the likelihood of us actually collecting is probably low. And so we're just gonna write it off and act like it's not there. And if it comes in, it's a bonus.
Got it. I would like for, at some point when we have executive session, I would love to kind of take a look at some of either if we have our ordinances, or I'll bring in some examples from other jurisdictions where certain fees can be converted to other types of stuff. I just will throw that out there. And so maybe we can kind of look at that as if, you know, we might still be able to get a benefit from some repeat offenders, knowing we're never going to get actual dollars, but we might look at what could be a mutual benefit to converting their fees into something else, right? And so if I don't remember, someone else try to remember that would be a good discussion for executive session.
I would really like that.
That's good.
We have a lot of work that could.
Well, and I mean, one of the things, there's a lot of, you know, serving veterans. I do a lot of pro bono work with veterans, and especially elderly veterans. Some of the, I'm not saying ours, right, municipal ones, but there's a lot of studies that show how much barrier how much fees and fines and things become barriers to certain things. And there's been some really good kind of studies and some kind of case studies on and how to just shift your paradigm a little on how to think about that. So I'd love to kind of look more about that, because, you know, people who have the funds to be able to pay should pay, but if you don't have the funds, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be contributing or somehow take ownership for your fine, right? And so so let's kind of talk about that. And I think, especially with the lens of equity and things like that, we can really have a good discussion around that. So
I think you're right.
For point of clarification, just so we're clear, it can't be an executive session. It would have to be a work session.
Oh, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Okay.
I
I just want to make
appreciate
for
that.
the
Yes.
record. Yeah.
For the record, I meant our, I don't know, I always say executive session and I should always say work session. But yeah, I'd love to kind of, you know, prepare some stuff and chew that over with you guys.
And Mike and Ronnie will keep us straight. So now, Mike, refresh my memory on this. This was driven by recommendation through an audit, right? That they had been after us to do something differently with this. Is that true?
Not necessarily from our auditors. This is actually from our accountant, Mike Mars.
Oh, accountant,
Just
that's what I mean.
basically to help clean up our books and so that we don't inflate our position. Yeah. Just
Okay. Yeah, it's the accountant. I misspoke. I said auditor, but I remember that conversation about the how that all got started. Okay, sounds good. So we're going to need a motion.
Yes, sir.
There's a question on the floor.
Yes. And Mike, if we turn a fee collection over to a collection agency, do we pay the collection agency if they are unable to collect it?
The collection agency takes a percentage of the fee. We don't necessarily pay them a fee. So they would take a percentage of what they collect.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready for a motion?
I'll do it unless someone else is gonna jump on it.
Come on, speak up, people.
So moved, let's go.
So this would be resolution 2021-07, policy APP-2021-07, general accounting allowance for uncollectible accounts and write-off for accounts receivable policy.
Second.
So I have Councilor Fender and Councilor Ocholi. All those in favor, we'll start with Councilor Thompson, Councilor Platt, Mayor Gibson, Councilor Ocholi, Councilor Fender, and Councilor Paulson.
Okay.
Thank you. That's 6-0.
Okay. Now we do have an add-on resolution,
Proclamation.
Proclamation is the word I'm looking for. We do have an add-on proclamation, and that's for Juneteenth. Ronnie, do you have that where you can put it?
Before we do that, do we want to handle that gas tax one, 7.9?
Well, you know,
Or do you want to do that first?
Yeah, I think that might be a more lengthy conversation. I don't think it'll take that long to do the
Juneteenth was just signed into national holiday today, right? If I'm not mistaken.
That was April, I believe.
Right.
No, I think President Biden signed it.
Oh,
Yeah, I think he did.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That is true. So we
State of Oregon did theirs in April.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have that where you can put it up
I think so.
and share that?
I did not open it. Hold on. Let me get into my Mike. If you want to go ahead and
Okay, let's move on then to the gas.
Here, I'll read it. I'll read it.
And do that last. We had that.
Do you want me to read it, Mayor?
Oh, you have.
I'll just start reading it while Ronnie looks it up.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Proclamation P-2021-02, a proclamation in honor of Juneteenth 2021 recitals. Whereas Juneteenth, that's a mouthful. Juneteenth is often referred to as our country's second Independence Day and has long been celebrated among the African American community. Its historical significance has largely been omitted from educational curricula, making it relatively unknown to the wider population. And whereas despite the Emancipation Proclamation by President Abraham Lincoln and passage of the 13th Amendment by the U.S. Congress, more than 250,000 enslaved Africans and their descendants remained in bondage in the state of Texas until the arrival of Union troops at Galveston on the 19th day of June in 1865. And whereas when the news of their emancipation spread following the reading of General Order Number 3 by Major General Gordon Granger, the formerly enslaved people of Texas reacted with joyous celebrations, launching what would become an annual event known as Juneteenth. And whereas early celebrations of Juneteenth consisted of family and community gatherings filled not only with a special food and festivities, but also prayer, reflection, and respect for ancestors who suffered under slavery. And whereas the observance of Juneteenth evolved over time, leading up to January 1, 1980, when Texas became the first state in the nation to formally establish Juneteenth as an official holiday, thanks to the tireless efforts of the late former state representative Al Edwards, who served for more than 30 years in the Texas state legislature. And whereas Juneteenth celebrations continue to grow within communities and organizations throughout the country, helping to promote knowledge and appreciation of African American history, resilience, family, community, and culture. And whereas we honor the legacy of those who first received the news on that unforgettable day in Galveston, and understand that the joy reflected in the celebration of Juneteenth provides a slave and a buffer, a salve. Am I saying that? I'm probably butchering it. And a buffer against the generational trauma of slavery and widespread systematic racism that limits Black prosperity and health to this day. Whereas we pledge to continue our efforts to lift up the importance and history of Juneteenth and work tirelessly to root out institutional racism wherever it exists and advance equity and inclusion for all members of our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Kings City Council does hereby proclaim Saturday, June 19, 2021 as Juneteenth in King City and encourages all community members to observe this day with activities and reflections that celebrate freedom and justice for all people.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mike.
I have a question.
Yes.
How can we make it so that we don't just proclaim June 19th, 2021, but June 19th going forward? Are we able to do that?
Well, if it's, since it has just been signed into law as a national holiday, if Biden signed it today, I don't know if we need to do that today.
Right.
But moving forward, that's exactly what we need to do.
Right.
I think it's, since he signed it, it's a federal holiday now, right?
Yeah, I mean, that would be the purpose of him signing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Okay.
I don't think we need to do that now.
Okay.
But moving forward, we are going to make it clear that we're recognizing the national holiday.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I just-
yeah, so, the reason why we do this every year for this particular one is because we want to mention it. We don't want to forget about it. We don't, you know.
Right. We want to highlight it
Yeah,
and,
highlight
and,
it, yeah.
and put it out there to ensure. Right. And I understand. I just am trying to figure, you know, I would just want to make sure that we do this every June 19th, not just this year. And therefore we can figure out how to do that. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So, okay, guys.
So do we have to make a motion to?
There are no motion on this. This is a proclamation.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So we can move on to, and thank you very much, Mike, and thank you guys. It's an important holiday, and I'm glad to see it happening. It's about time. 7.9, discussion on gas tax, the survey that is just going out to our residents. Who's leading the conversation?
I'm gonna hand that off to Ronnie. He's been spearheading this.
All right, well, the gas tax, let's see, let's start out with the Miller. Let me just get my.
We should first start off with, it's a discussion about the gas tax.
Yeah, it's a discussion.
Potential. It's a discussion about a potential
Okay.
gas tax.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what the community thinks of it.
So for the last couple of months, we've been talking to the gas stations, ARCO and Space Age. We've also been talking in groups, seeing what's the best way to do some road maintenance funds. One of the two of the items that came up was a gas tax or a vehicle registration fee. In order for the city council and the staff to make the best decision, we need to know what the residents are thinking. So what we did was we put together a survey. And on your screen, this is what the Miller looks like. Let me make it a little bit bigger so everybody can see it. Is that a little bit better?
Yeah, that's good. That's great.
Okay. So some of the questions, geographical, we just kind of want to know where generally they are. So like HOA is a good representation of that. We don't really want addresses because we want people to fill it out. So I'm not going to go too much into the details of the questions, but there they are.
And so Ronnie, the team did get a chance to review this, and some changes were in fact made to the wording and for the overall presentation of this. You know, some minor things for sure, and like showing the gas station that isn't in King City was one of the changes, but you know, nevertheless, I think it'll at least give people an understanding of what this really means, what this is all about, and to get some feedback. And I think that's
absolutely
very important for this.
So on that is, we also put together, so those Millers went out today. They should be in people's mailbox tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday.
Okay.
For the counselors that have their HOAs and stuff like that, tell your HOA presidents, your members, and your friends and family, that your neighbors, fill this information out. So that way the city can make the best decision. Whether that's a no, yes, maybe, we need to look at it more. Honestly, I don't know what that's going to look like right at this moment. But citizen participation is extremely important and we need to get that done. And then I'm going to share my screen again. Let me just get to the right screen here.
Ronnie, can I ask a question on this screen or you're not sharing? I'm just looking at my own screen. On the mailer, is everybody else seeing what I'm seeing that's missing a bunch of letters? And
that is because that was the proof that we put on there, and the magical little, if you see the proof in there, do you see
the word proof is
the word
written out, but by deleting words. So if you
yeah, so that
like draft or so
watermark that's over the top.
Watermark
there.
Okay.
So in the final, those are, you can read those.
Not there.
Thanks.
Yeah. But I'm trying to get to my screen for the actual online and where all the information is for you guys, but I have a bunch of other things open too. Oh, there we go. All right. Can you guys see the website?
Yes.
Okay. So on our website, on the homepage, there's two locations here. You have the newsletter announcement here. All you do is click on it. It gives you information and where to go. And then here on, you also have in the quick links area, another button that will take you to the actual website page of kind of a description of it, and where you also have a QR code on here so folks can take a picture, and then you go to the survey, click the link, it will take you to the survey. This area will ask you the same questions on the mailer, just in online format. I would continue on this, but I don't want to skew the results. So I'm not going to put another, because it's not my test anymore. This is live. So,
Okay.
all righty. So do you have any questions or concerns or?
The only, one of the things that we have discussed, and I don't know at what point we want to make this call as to whether or not we're contemplating trying to do something in November or wait until next year.
I think we need to wait until we know what the results are on the survey. So
will we have enough time to do all that before we have to make this November decision?
So at the end of, yes. So the survey is going to go until the end of July.
Mhm.
I believe in August is when we need to make the decision at the city council meeting. We might have to do a special city council meeting in the first week to get the results in.
I want to be clear, if we go for that, I think we have to have the ballot title written up.
Yeah. The title ballot has to be written up and everything has to be ready to go in August.
So maybe mid-July, we kind of take a look at where the survey is and what's going
Yeah,
on
we can.
with it.
Yeah.
And then at our meeting in July, we can kind of make a predetermination on whether you want to instruct staff to draft the ballot title and have it prepared for August.
Okay.
Okay, that way we're prepared either way if we want to try to put this on or if we want to.
I also want to remind the council too that Arco, Babette, and
Chris
from Space Age, they have also suggested that they would like us to wait until next year. So like, what was that, May?
Yeah, May would be.
Because of COVID, just so keep that in the back of your minds that, there are other things that play in here. So.
And I'm sorry, I thought we kind of discussed this last time and had decided to put this survey out, but we're looking at May because of kind of the feedback and just the timing. Is that changed, or are we?
No, we didn't make the decision.
No, we
we
haven't
didn't make
made,
the
we
decision,
haven't,
we
we
just
haven't
talked
made,
about
it's just we talked about it. There's
Okay,
no
I
decision.
understand.
No decisions.
It's something that we have to consider.
Right.
Okay, we want the feedback, yes, and we are certainly concerned about recovery time.
Right.
You know, if ARCO and Space Age are still in a recovery mode from the pandemic, we're not in this to hurt. We want to do it the right way. So we really have to consider that. So that means we have to get back to the table and really have an honest conversation about whether the timing is right to do it in November. And maybe we should wait until May, but let's do it as a process.
Right, step by step. Got it. Okay.
And then we'll go from there.
All right, thank you.
I'm sorry, but you guys have mentioned that.
Hold on, hold on, Bobette, can you
Yes?
can you introduce yourself and make sure the mayor is okay with open floor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry,
Well,
I'm new to this. So
Okay.
I'm Bobette Yeager. I'm the owner of the Arco gas station. So I was just curious if you guys are having a meeting that's not actually a city council meeting, is that something that I can attend? Because you had talking about it earlier in the month than a city council meeting.
I can answer your question, Bobette.
Okay,
Anytime that we have a quorum, more than 4 counselors in a room at one time, that is a public meeting and open to the public. Unless it's an executive session where we're discussing like business dealings or property purchases or things of a sensitive nature, personnel matters, things of that. Anything else, it's all public and the public is invited to attend and listen. There may not be the opportunity to speak, but there's definitely the opportunity to listen.
That's fine.
And be involved.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
that's fine, Bobby, but look, it's important for you to be involved in these conversations. You know, it's important to us, and I know it's important to you, okay?
Yeah,
So
very.
no apologies necessary.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
I
Okay,
believe Dave Platt had a question.
okay, yeah, Dave, go. You're muted, Dave.
And I also saw Councilor Thompson had her hand up earlier too. So I need to get Councilor Thompson as well.
I'll just pass it to Councilor Thompson.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. My question was in regards to the option to take the online survey. Is there a vehicle in place to limit the amount of responses that someone can respond to?
Yeah, so on the online, I blocked, so one IP can only do, or IP address can do one survey. So yeah.
Thank you.
No stuff in the ballot box, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like we're good with the survey. It's going out. Hopefully, we will get a good response. We're going to have another conversation about this in July and make a decision around that time on whether or not we're going to do November or May. Is that correct?
At least a discussion, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if we talk about it in July, we're going to have to make a decision that we're going to get it on the ballot. So I'd say that in that July conversation, no later than August, that we have to make a decision.
True. I will probably have more details for you on like July 15th, because that would actually, no, July 1st.
Well, can we just add it as an agenda item for our July meeting?
Yeah, for the next couple, I can see this being a discussion item for the next couple of months.
Perfect.
Okay.
Hey, Ronnie.
Yes.
I have a question about the IP, blocking the IP. What about goes when you have just the one machine and you have two people that have different opinions. That means the other person will have to find another way to.
That's
do that.
correct. That's the downfall on that one. And
There's the mailer. There's the physical mailer as well.
There is the physical mailer. There is a chance for a 1% error because that person could send in the mailer and go online. You know, but in the math, there will I can talk here. There is. I do have an error calculation I can use.
Okay.
But that's an advantage. You have two household members who may not have the same opinion on it. One can do online and one do the mailer.
Yeah.
That'll work, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing too is they can definitely call me.
Yeah. I know that husband and wife have a tendency to agree on everything, but on this particular case, that may not be the reality. Okay. So, any other questions or concerns about gas tax? Okay. Typically, we would go around the horn and give reports. We're not going to do that tonight. We've been at this for a long time. I just want some closing thought from you guys on how the state of the city went. And just we'll close with that. We'll just go around the horn. So, Smart.
Before we do that, I just want to jump with Mike real quick. Hey, Mike, did you hear from the city of Tigard about the water changes that's coming next month? I was in the meeting.
I got something from them. I've not had a chance to do a deep dive into it. If it's a high level thing and you want me to do a deep dive, I'll dig into it.
Okay, please.
I do have it from them. They sent it to me, I want to say like last week or so.
Yeah, that was the meeting last week, yes.
Okay. Is that it was a meeting summary and agenda and stuff, right?
Yes, and the increase coming, it will take effect July. So the $2 I talked about the last time for low water users, and then $10 for those that are high users.
Okay. Yeah, I figured it was kind of like their annual CPI increase sort of thing. And the mayor and I had a meeting just the other day with Pride too about their annual situation as well. So that's coming as well. I think it's that time of year.
July this year or July next year?
What's
July.
that?
This year?
Yes, July 1st. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Smart. Appreciate it.
And Pride will be January of
next year.
2022.
22.
But every year, everybody submits it. I'm sure I'll get something from Comcast or Frontier or some. Well, Frontier's gone. It's probably Ziply here before too long.
Okay. All right, let's wrap this up. Smart, what did you think about the process?
Oh, I think it was great. I mean, great opportunity for us to reach out to the community and the people, and also give us a chance to show them that we are involved and in every aspect of what we do in our governing of the city, and also to give them the opportunity to also provide their own feedback or the input that they have regarding the city. And I think we also had a great representation from other stakeholders that participated, and I think that's good for us to be able to show that we're open and want to let everyone know that we kind of want to allow everyone to be able to come in and see what we do and how we do things. I really want to, if anything, pat ourselves on the back for a lot of great things that we have done, and continue to look forward to collaborating with other people that we'll be working with. I think it was great. I think it went well. So kudos to everyone. Great job.
All right, thank you. I agree. Jamie.
I was sad I missed the very first part, but I apologize again. However, I thought it was good. I was pleased, even with the public comments. I really appreciated the respectful tone that that was was brought by the residents. I think I know I got lots of private little messages from the electeds who attended, who all thought it was great, and we're very excited to hear some of the activities and kind of looking forward to what's on the horizon. So I thought it was wonderful.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jamie. Shauna.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Fender and Councillor Choli, and I think they both said it really well, and I don't really have much to add.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you all for what you have done. Dave, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I think I like the format, as long as you don't make me talk.
You did a great job, Dave.
I'm going to tell you guys a story. Dave called me and said he didn't think that he wanted to do this because he is not a good at this
I don't
public.
like public speaking.
And he did. And
Although I've had to do it.
you did an outstanding job.
Many times.
You never know that you didn't really want to do it. So thank you, David.
I do it when I'm forced to.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad I forced you because you were good. Okay, thank you, David. Micah.
I don't really have anything to add other than I really appreciated just hearing everybody's kind of passion about our city. That I think is more impactful than necessarily the subjects we talk about, is the fact that, and as you mentioned, is that, you know, we all care a great deal about the city and where we live, and we want to make it the best place we possibly can.
Absolutely. Well, you guys were outstanding. Ernie or Mike, you guys have anything to add?
Ernie, you want to take it away first, or you want me to jump on this?
I'm good. Go ahead.
Fine. I'll jump on the grenade, I guess. No, I thought it was great. I think everyone really did a good job of covering their fields, and you know, Micah was a trooper there, man, battling through. That was awesome. I don't know how you maintained your focus during that, but well done. That's
Well, I missed something. What happened? Oh, baby William.
Mentioned the playground. The baby wanted to go out to the playground.
Yeah, baby Will. I heard baby William background.
But that was impressive, Micah. That's a year in training right there, Zoom calls and everything. So very impressive. I don't know if I would have been able to remain focused like that. But did a great job.
Great.
That's a lot of days at the beginning of this where they were home and I had conference calls and I couldn't get away from them. So just power through and just ignore him.
Absolutely. You didn't even flinch, Micah. That was so beautiful, man.
Pretty great.
Not exactly caring father.
Cat was very distracted.
I mean, these forums are tough no matter how you shape them. And I think it takes a concerted effort to pull it together, and you guys did a good job. So thank you all very much for all your continued support and what you do for the staff here and what you do for the city. I know it's not easy. And anyone that was at that park event realizes that anytime you're doing something controversial, or, you know, you're trying to do anything that involves change, you know, there's a lot of emotions that get caught up in that, and there's a lot of hurt feelings. And yeah, you guys do a great job. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all very much for your continuous support of me and the staff here. I know it's not easy, so thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, I truly appreciate you guys, and I'm just as proud as I can be of everything that you guys do. You know, we're just a team, and we're all here for the right reason, paid or non-paid. We're here for the right reason because we want it to be the best, and I can't thank you enough. I see Carol and Mark are still on the call. You guys as planning commissioners, I really appreciate everything that you guys do. And my end of the neighborhood in Edgewater just got better because Mark is moving across the street from me. He just bought the house across the street.
Yay!
He is my neighbor. Yay, Mark. I'll try to
Neighbor
behave
with-
myself, Mark, so I don't embarrass you as a new neighbor.
Okay, that's fine.
Nice. Before we close, I do have one thing to plug.
Yes,
Okay,
plug 'em.
tomorrow, June 17th, tomorrow, from 10 to 1, June 18th, from 10 to 1, and June 22nd, from 10 to 1, down at the park. We have the community art project where members of our community have signed up to create a portion of the mosaic wrap that will go around the pony walls. However, I'm very pleased to announce that not only are we completely booked, but we have a waiting list going. And therefore, if you didn't sign up a slot, I am very sad to tell you, you are not going to be able to attend and participate. However, I encourage all of you to come down and meet Mark Brody and kind of see what he is doing. He is bringing a section. Some of you might have seen the portion of the king mosaic tile. He's going to bring, I believe, that and maybe another section of the mosaic down so people can kind of take a look. So even though if you haven't signed up, you won't necessarily be able to unless you show up and someone hasn't as no showed, then hey, all things are possible. But come down and meet him if you can and say hi. So all right.
Okay,
Oh,
sounds
Mike.
good. I will.
Mike, you're on mute.
At 10 o'clock.
Perfect.
What are the age groups per day? Because I know that Mark was talking about breaking them up in age groups. So it was like.
So we kind of just, we had to kind of simplify it because our website didn't necessarily, anyway, it's a long story, but we simplified a little bit. So all children under 12 must be accompanied by an adult. And then what we have kind of done is we just let people know this is mosaic tiling. This is not really appropriate for really small children. So probably anyone under 5, it's just not going to happen. And then what I did was we asked for the ages and I played around with the dates. So so they should be kind of fine. But tomorrow is lettering. The 18th is going to be butterflies. And then the 22nd will be flowers. And so if any of that interests you, then come down. It's really fascinating how he puts it all together. And then he's going to have an art assistant with him. And then we have a King City High School volunteer who's going to be there helping as a helping hand. So I'm very excited. Masks are required, even though it's outside. Please don't make an issue out of it, anyone. And we will just have a good socially distant masked event outside. We're going to be near the gazebo and have tables. So come meet us at the gazebo if you want to come take a peek. Thanks.
Okay, sounds wonderful.
Good job, Jenny.
You guys, it's been a long day for all of you, and I truly appreciate everything that you guys did tonight. And you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you soon.
Need a motion to close.
Move to close.
All in favor?
Okay, next meeting, someone else is going to do all our motions.
All right, unanimous. All right, good night, everyone.
Good night.
You know that.